Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Yeah.
Woohoo! What a weekend! What a weekend!
And
Ohio State gets the big win. We didn't even get a chance to talk about them on Friday.
We didn't.
I mean, we went into the biggest game of the year, one of, and we didn't even mention them, but man, combination of two things. I think Indiana was way overrated, not tested. Ohio State looked really good, though.
I hate these arguments, by the way, about like this team, the SEC teams versus the Big Ten. Like we don't know who's better. They're not. If they don't play on the field, you don't know for sure.
Yeah,
and we're all biased for our own teams. So it's just, I got more Ohio State fans are on Twitter arguing that Indiana should go to the playoffs. Who cares?
No, they're not.
Why do you even care if Indiana goes to the playoffs?
I didn't think they were that bad.
Ohio State killed them.
No, there were two plays.
Yeah, both special teams. Yeah. Now
you
Ohio
take those
State's,
out, and
Well,
you take those out, it's a game.
Ohio State's defensive line smoked them.
Yeah.
And watching that, I went back. I was thinking like 20 years ago when the SEC was so good. It was because nobody could block their defensive line.
Right.
Like the Big Ten could not handle SEC defensive lines.
Yeah.
15, 20 years ago. And watching that, I was like, okay, well, there's the difference. That's the difference in Ohio State and Indiana. Is Indiana's offensive line cannot handle Ohio State's defensive line.
Too fast,
Yet,
too big,
still,
too athletic.
it was those two massive mistakes.
But Indiana couldn't score.
It's wide
when
open.
it mattered.
Ain't no dominant teams. It's wide open.
Ohio State was
I
the
agree
better
with that.
team.
It is
And
wide
so
open.
people are, I don't know, I
can't wait for the playoffs.
I guess that's why people like it, because you argue about who's in, but everybody's so certain they know which team's better than another team. And the committee,
SEC this year.
the committee is biased based on the early polls, which are ridiculous. There should be no polls until the 7 weeks into the season.
I don't even want to poll.
Well,
I think it's a joke.
There are all these teams in it. You can't complain now. Like, if you get in, how many teams is it? 16?
12.
12. Listen, if you get in and you play, we're going to find out who the best is.
And does it matter if Indiana's going to get in? They're not winning anything, even if they do get in.
Let them in if they want.
Whenever we launched, we talked about a 12-team playoff that was coming. It wasn't here yet. And I had said in my argument for 12, look, if you're leaving out number 13, they had
Who cares?
chances.
Yeah.
It's not like you slipped up one time.
Right.
You likely have 3 losses.
Right.
So if you have 3 losses,
Yeah.
you don't deserve to get in with the top 12. And there's more anticipation and excitement for this year's college playoffs than I've ever had in my life, including the first year they went to 4 when Ohio State won it all.
It's cool.
I can't wait.
Cool.
Everybody have a good weekend? Everybody good? Nice, relaxing, no Browns game to stress over?
I had an incident that I need to talk about.
Wait, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah,
whenever it starts with "I had an incident," that's bad.
Well, I did nothing wrong, but I almost had to have people thrown out of a movie theater.
Oh,
Kids.
what happened?
Bulls yelling at teenage girls.
Here's what happened. So yesterday first of all, it was a great weekend. On Saturday, I had a big party for both my fall ball teams at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Which were champions, right? Everybody.
One team won the championship, the other team lost in the championship.
Oh, okay.
But it was a great season by both teams, and I was blown away. The parents got me some gifts. I wasn't expecting anything.
Nice.
It was really
Very
sweet.
Nice.
But we had a great time on Saturday. Ran into Curtis Stanberg there. He was at Buffalo Wild Wings Saturday. So Sunday, it was a kid I've coached, and he's now good friends with my son. His name is Teddy, and it was his birthday party yesterday. So I tagged along because it was at the movie. So we went to see this movie called Red One. Have you guys heard of this?
No.
It's a funny movie. It's with The Rock and J.K. Simmons plays Santa Claus.
I saw a trailer for it.
It's it was cute. It was funny. But anyway, the movie's just about to start. We, all the kids, and then Teddy's parents and me are in one aisle, and to the right of me is 2 girls that are not part of the party.
Okay.
There's these 2 girls, maybe they were somewhere 12 to 15, somewhere in that age range. As the movie starts, they both have their phones out, and they're playing some sort of game. And I said, okay, girls, time to put the phones away. All right, so that's it. Then, 10 minutes into the movie, they're getting on their phones off and on. And I said, girls, this is the last warning. If I have to tell you again, I'm getting you thrown out of the movie theater.
Did they put them away?
They did put them away. They got up initially, and I don't know where they went. And then they came back, and then they did not.
Why would they
take out
come
their
back
phones.
into that row? Why wouldn't they sit in the back of the theater?
I don't know. Maybe it was pretty crowded, so maybe it was
It's
all
assigned
full.
seating.
It is assigned seating, but if it's
I haven't been to the theater since pre-COVID.
But once the movie starts, if there's empty seats, you could sit somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it was pretty crowded. Maybe there wasn't. But they did not take out their phones after that. That was it.
When I was going to the movie theater, we weren't worried about no phones.
We didn't have phones.
No.
Why do you go to the movies if you're going to sit there on your phone?
Listen, there's a generation of people now
Yeah.
who can't go 10 minutes without looking at their phone. I'm not making that up.
Why is they up
It's
front?
crazy.
Why is they up front? They was kicking us out. They was like, hey, man, y'all
Yeah.
got to go, man. Y'all people in the back, y'all got to go.
Can't talk in the
Why
movies.
were you getting thrown out? Just noise? General noise?
Nah,
Were you eating Chinese food?
we was hanging out.
All right, hanging out, kicked out. Now,
So,
let me ask
yeah.
you this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
I
was pissed. I said it in a stern
hold on, I
voice.
think I was one of you too.
How did the parents of Teddy's mom and dad, how did they respond to this?
I don't know if they even. I'm not sure they heard me. If they did, they didn't say anything.
So it wasn't
They're
a
friends
scene.
of mine.
It wasn't a scene.
No, I wasn't loud. I said it loud enough so the girls would definitely hear me.
Yeah.
Now, Teddy's dad, who's a friend of mine, he's been my assistant coach the last 2 years at Little League, Joe, he was sitting next to me. He didn't say anything. I never even talked about it with him after, so I don't know.
They
Either
must
he
not
heard
heard
it or
Okay.
he agreed with me or whatever.
I was afraid that it was everybody in the theater was like, oh my God, we got an incident.
No.
Okay,
no.
good.
Incident was a little strong, but I was like, that's so rude
So
to be on your phone.
Let's recap. In the last 4 days,
Yes.
5 days, we've dropped F-bombs at an old lady,
Yes.
and we've cursed out 2 teenage girls.
I didn't curse them out,
No, you're
but
right. You didn't
I was
curse them out.
stern with
There was
them.
an incident where you were basically the hall monitor
Yes.
in public.
That's right. It's somebody sitting next to you on their phone
Oh,
while
it's
you're watching a
distracting.
movie.
I can't do it.
That's very distracting.
No, and
So
especially for the people behind them,
Oh,
because
God.
they see the glare.
and most people are scared to say anything because they don't want to. And I'm like, I don't want it. Can't be doing that.
Yeah, I do. On one hand, your firm tone sent the message.
Yes.
They got it.
100%.
Now, the way I would have handled it was I would have leaned over and I'd have said, girls, we're watching a movie and the light can be distracting. Can you please try not to use your phone?
You know why, Jay?
Yeah.
That's
Because you have a daughter.
Yeah, I think you're right.
threatened to snitch on 2 teenage girls.
Well-
and me and Jay are looking at each other
Yeah,
like,
right.
you did what?
Oh.
Wait a minute.
That is the difference, I think, because
Snitch.
if I'm in a movie and my daughter and her teenage friend are in front of me, and they don't want to be not cool, so they don't want to sit with dad, and I see an adult raising their voice at them, my girl's probably wrong. But we're gonna have words over that.
Hey, listen, I don't know. I mean, their parents, I don't know if they were there or not.
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't
Probably.
know.
Now listen, I'm gonna just say this
And you
right
weren't
now.
wrong, Bull.
No.
I'm gonna say this right now. The rules of engagement are a little different. Earl, don't you try that. Don't you lean over and talk to no 12-year-old.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Talking about
You're right
you better
about
be quiet.
Yeah.
Listen, they will pass out on you.
The
them
rules
cops will show up. Oh my God!
Here's the rules of engagement.
Get the cuffs.
What happened?
Bring the tie wraps. We don't need it all.
I was scared, boy.
You're right about the rules of engagement.
I ain't
That
saying
is true.
I don't talk to no
'Cause when he put
12-year-olds
it in the
ever.
chat, he was like, I had to threaten 2 teenage girls. I got a 16-year-old daughter. So I was like, wait, what the hell? What's going on here?
I threatened them by getting them kicked out.
When
I
he
wasn't having that. I was going to get up and get them kicked
Think
out.
about this. He said, if you have no context clues, he said
Yeah.
incident,
Yeah, threatened.
12-year-olds, and threatened.
Yeah, that's a police report.
That's true.
In almost all instances, that's a police report.
I would have got up and said, I'm going to excuse myself.
Now,
I'm going to watch
could you
Netflix.
imagine you're Timmy, you're 15, it's your first day at the theater, and Bull comes up to you and says, I want both of them out, both of them.
I would have done that.
I know you would.
That would have been me.
Could you imagine Timmy? It's his first day. He's not even sure where the time clock is.
That's true.
And he's like, and so he's telling Bull, I don't know. It's my first day.
I'd be like, get your shit together.
I want them both out right there. The 2 with the pigtails, get them out.
I ain't been to no theater since the Dark Knight incident. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, that's kind of.
It's fun going to the movies. It's a different experience.
I used to love it,
you know?
Bull. I used to enjoy nothing more than spending 2 hours in a theater with the full sound. I don't know why I don't go anymore. I just don't. Maybe because I can watch everything at home.
Because you built a movie theater in your basement. What do you need to go somewhere?
I mean, I got a nice TV too, but I liked the experience of going to the movie. Sometimes I don't go nearly as much as I used to. But
Jay has ushers. He
does have ushers.
I don't have ushers.
He hires the paper boy to come down there.
Timmy
and see his.
Timmy's at my house.
Timmy's. That's
what he does. I have a dust up, Timmy.
Timmy
out.
His wife was talking too loud. Hey, Timmy.
Tracy, I know she lives here. Get her out for 2 hours.
Listen, I gotta address the elephant in the room before we get started.
All right.
As you all see, I'm downstairs.
Yeah, where you been?
So for the fan base, I am still employed by the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show.
Why? Were there questions?
Work here.
Were there questions?
Free Earl.
Yeah, it was free Earl. Where the hell has Earl been? He doesn't be on the panel no more. He's not behind the glass anymore. Like, where has he been?
You go upstairs and work.
Because Jay walked upstairs into the office, and you see I was cold chilling.
I did, and your setup up there is preem ear. It's got two
Talk to him, Jay.
A nice office, a door that closes, and no distractions.
Like, hey, what's behind it with the third door? So when y'all between segments, I play Pop Shot. I play Pop Shot. So I just want everybody to know I'm still here.
Okay,
I'm still in the folds. I want to give a huge shout out to all the fans who was lobbying on my behalf. They made me feel like Joe Clark.
Where's Mikey McMustache?
He is at is he at another wedding or is he at
home for Thanksgiving?
No, he went home for their
holidays.
They do Thanksgiving before Thanksgiving.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
He'll be back Wednesday.
I forgot.
Also, shout out to Coco Rex. New fan in the chat. Huge fan of mine. Thank you. Clearly, they started this whole Free Earl movement. You know, I'm here. We got a lot to talk about. This is my first time in front of you all to talk about Ty Jerome. It's going to be a great day.
By the way, did you know Coco Rex is the cousin of Coco Crisp?
Oh, really?
There it is. That's Coco's cousin.
That belongs on the dad jokes with the guys in the morning on Channel 3.
That is a good dad joke. Yeah. Very good. Wow, you watch Channel 3 in the morning.
I
thought you had sworn off
local
TV.
I actually don't. But I see the tweets about it. I was going to lie and say I do. I see their tweets.
Since we're sitting in Channel 3 studio, it's okay to lie and say that.
Yeah, I guess
Matt Wentz is great, by the way.
Yeah.
And on that note, let's get started.
Yeah, let's do it. Got to start with the Cavaliers, right?
Let's get started with the Cavaliers. Of course, our first segment of the day is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets if they win. The FanDuel Sports app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get the hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports partner of the NFL. Fellas, the Cavs was right back at it after 3 days off, man. Donovan Mitchell, Ty Jerome, 26 points apiece. Jarrett Allen poured in another 23. All 5 starters scored a double figures. Smashed the Toronto Raptors, man. How do you all feel about it this morning?
I was looking at, now that we're off the winning streak, I was looking at best record.
No, we're on a winning streak.
Well, no, I mean, start the season. I was looking at best records ever through 20 games. I know they haven't played 20 games yet.
Yeah.
And there have been 4 teams in the history of the NBA that have gone 19-1 and better. Obviously, 19-1 is the best the Cavs can do. Of those 4 teams that have gone 19-1, one, of course, is the Warriors, who lost the championship. 2 of the other 3 won their championships. And the 4th one was Portland. I don't remember what year it was. They lost in the conference finals. Okay. So 3 of the 4 got to the championship. 2 won a championship. If you look at first 25 games and whatever, and maybe the Cavs will slow up this stretch, but like right now, the start they're off to is historic levels. Hopefully that continues, and it's mostly with teams that either at least got to the finals. Obviously at some point you're going to have to deal with Boston and whatever, but like when the Cavs take the floor against the Toronto Raptors like they did last night, the game felt over at the end of the first quarter.
It was never in doubt.
Right?
It was never in doubt.
Right. Like the Raptors made some runs to make it look like a reasonable score.
They got to 6, I think, or
and by the way, what's his name? Who's in the picture right there? Just forgot
I
his
didn't
name.
see the picture.
I didn't either.
Niang. He couldn't have. That guy, what was he, 0 for 13 from the field? But everybody else played great.
He has days like that.
Yeah, he was terrible. Everybody else played great, but man, I mean, they are a team now that, like, if you're bad, they're wiping the floor with you. You got no shot. Toronto's terrible.
We need a nickname for Ty Jerome. Someone's got to come up with something.
We're gonna his nickname. His nickname is good. Like he's
Hell,
good all of a
that's
sudden.
understated. He's better than good.
It's unbelievable.
Hey man,
and I know
the
I
biggest
said
story in the league.
one of,
It's
and I know
gotta
I
be.
said he's David Fry.
Yeah.
But the more I see,
No.
the more I'm like, wow, this skill set is real. I mean, he can do this, and when given a start and given a lot of minutes, no one has figured out what the answer to him is.
Last 4 games where he's played like significant minutes, he's averaging 22 and 5 assists in the last 4 games.
See, this is Bull's comment. He's right. This is one of the greatest stats of all time. This is actually a law. It's like Maslow's theory of hierarchy here. Either if you're a white guy and you play, you're either over or underestimated or underestimated.
Right.
And because Ty Jerome is a white dude, people are like, "Oh, this is a nice story. We can only compare him to other white guys."
Right.
You're like,
isn't that funny how people do
like,
that?
nah, bro. Like this 22 and 5 is not regular. Like he's just not like he's shooting threes. Like we think, oh, okay, well he's gonna be a Kerr or John Paxson. No,
Right.
He's getting to the rack. He's playing defense. He's
His ability
finishing.
to steal the ball in big situations is unreal.
He had 4 steals yesterday on a block shot. Guys, he's shooting almost 60% from the field.
That part of it I don't
60%.
think can continue.
Sure, but still, we're almost
No.
a quarter of the way into the season.
I know.
He's
I
shooting
know.
60%.
Jay, there's got to be a fly in this ointment. What is it?
To Ty or to the team?
To Ty specifically.
I just think he's playing the best basketball. Like he's playing better than he did in college. He shot 40% from 3 his senior year in college. Average, I think I just looked it up earlier, about 14 points when Virginia won the national championship. He's playing better now than he did his senior or his last year of college. Who does that? Like who gets better in the pros? You know,
it's crazy.
normally for a guy like that, normally your best year is in college, and then you sort of fill in as a role player in the NBA. You know, I think he's being used exceptionally well. I think that's a perfect role for him. I've seen some stuff about would you start him. I wouldn't start him. I'd leave him.
I agree with
No,
you.
I agree.
Exactly.
Keep him in the role he's in.
Keep him doing exactly what
It's
he's
a huge
doing.
role that he's playing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you don't have to be a starter to make a major impact.
Right.
In fact, most of your great championship teams, and we talked about this, I brought this up on Friday, and I said, I think this team is deeper than the 16 championship team.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
eyebrows were raised, and we're going to discuss it later in today's show. I'm not saying they're better.
No.
I'm just saying, and maybe not even 6, 7, but like 7, 8, 9, 10 on this team is incredible. And every team that wins a championship, Jason, you know this, you better have some skilled guys that you can bring in that are 7 and 8.
Yes.
Because you're going to need them in certain matchups in certain series. And this team has depth to spare.
You need a guy, Dante Jones. I've used this example before. You need a guy, and by the way, Ty Jerome, what he's doing is on a much higher level than what Dante provided the Cavs. But I'm just using Dante because
He's a good example. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it falls in line with what you're talking about. They needed like I forget which game it was in the finals. They needed like a 3-minute stretch out of him in the second quarter. I think it was the second quarter against the Warriors. It was a home game, I think, if my memory's shot now. And like rebound, foul, basket. Like he just made a couple of really big plays in a moment when they really, really needed him. And and Dante was probably number 9, 10 on that rotation sheet. But he was a veteran who gave them exactly what they needed in that moment. Ty certainly could do that based on what we've seen to this point. And frankly more. Like I'm fascinated to see, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here. But like when you're, the deeper you go traditionally, it doesn't have to be this way, but traditionally with teams, the deeper you go, the more you cut your rotation. So that by the time you get to the finals, you're playing like 8 guys and you're trusting 7.
And that's usually out of necessity.
Well, you want your best guys on the
But
floor.
but if you trust 7, 8, 9 and you get in a series, what an advantage it is that you can give 2 or 3 of your starters a break while the other team's starters are grinding.
Yeah.
That's what makes the fourth quarter, that now in the fourth quarter, when they're on 10 minutes rest and the other team's starting lineup is on 6 minutes rest, you should have an advantage.
And it's not even, yes, but it's also game 5, game 6.
Sure. Attrition.
It's 100%. When I remember when the Cavs won the championship, and I talked to Griff about it afterwards, and he said it is a war of attrition, and like, you know, Draymond gets suspended, Cavs win game 5, they're able to extend the series, and then Bogut gets hurt, and it just changed the whole complexion, the whole dynamic of that series. And the deeper you go, the more tired these guys get, and it absolutely is a war of attrition. So, yeah, of course it's the Cavs' advantage to be deeper. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm not saying Kenny has to only play 8 guys if they get to the conference finals, but that's typically how teams have run this in the past, because you want Evan Mobley and Donovan Mitchell on the floor and Darius Garland on the floor for 40 minutes a night, 39, 40 minutes a night when you get to that point. And so it just doesn't leave a lot of minutes for everybody else.
It's going to get to a point. It's going to get to a point. Stay 17-1, and this is going to happen. Yeah, they could beat them other teams, and I'm not trying to poo-poo the start, but people are going to start eyeing in on this matchup. They're going to say, listen, all right, that's great against everybody else, but as you know, Jason, the league is about matchups. And how do you match up against the Celtics, right? Like, how do you stop, like, what they're doing, and do you have a problem with your lineup? Now, Ty Jerome is a big part of it because he has to, in my opinion, when they bring Pritchard off the bench, he has to keep up with him. He has to have a game if Pritchard has a game, right? The Al Horford piece or part, Evan Mobley has to outplay Al Horford at all times. Like, it can't be even.
Well, the thing that's going to not mess with them, but the big wrinkle that we still haven't seen, because you saw it last year, is the Porzingis piece.
Yep.
And how he changes them, because he's going to make them even more difficult.
Yet?
No.
Close.
They're playing Sunday, obviously, here in Cleveland.
I know he's close. I don't know if they've actually said
I don't think he's played.
what day it is, but
when he comes back, it will add a whole different element to them.
That's
that
5
we haven't
out.
seen.
That's 5 out. You
Earl
can play
has a
with
point
Porzingis.
Go ahead,
about
Earl.
this.
So a couple things on Ty Jerome. Me and G did the barbershop Saturday, and we got a chance to talk to Ethan Sands, who covers the Cavs for Cleveland.com. And he talked about how he was coveted, he being Ty Jerome, by the Cavs, and he was somebody that, you know, Kobe Altman wanted to draft. And so getting him to Cleveland seems like it's been a long time coming and was always in the plans. And 4 games against the Cavs in his career, he averaged 14.5 points. And, you know, the talk has been, well, how the hell did you pick Ty Jerome out of a hat? I seen him play January 20th against the Cavs. He scored 22 points. He started over Steph Curry. Now, lately, I've spent as much or more time with Mike than anybody that's in this room. And so, naturally, I'm asking questions, I'm watching more, and I'm understanding more. When you see a dude that's 6'5", that's a pure point guard, that can shoot, that can play defense, that can facilitate, and seems to be the battery pack of this entire team, it's like this is a guy that you got to make sure that's in the folds going forward.
Yeah.
And I wonder if he was healthy last year, what difference it would have made in that season.
No.
It's a good question, but to me, the reason the Cavs look completely different, it's 2 parts. It's A, it's Ty Jerome, but B, it's that Evan Mobley is a completely different player this year.
It starts with Evan
Those
Mobley,
are the 2 big storylines.
Evan Mobley is bigger.
I mean, Evan Mobley, like, there was a play last night in, I want to say the second quarter, where Evan Mobley just, like, he took the basket, you know, he took the basketball and the inbounds pass from behind, you know, their own, and took it down the court. And he ended up not scoring, but he just went coast to coast on his own and just aggressively went to the basket.
Right.
And then there was another play later in that second quarter, if you guys remember, where he missed like a few shots in a row. He kept getting the rebound, and eventually he got fouled. Like, we didn't see those type of things from him in the past, and we've been waiting for this huge leap. And we thought, like, offensively, his game, it didn't go slowly up. His offensive game went like, boom.
Yeah, like there was an epiphany.
Yeah,
A light went off.
and like he is a completely different guy right now.
He is.
And between that and Ty Jerome going from a 0 to maybe the 6th man of the year competition.
Sure.
Like, those are the 2 biggest differences.
Those are.
Yes, Darius has bounced back too, but
That's
we knew
huge
he could,
too.
and that's big too. But but he's been an all-star in the past.
Right.
Jarrett Allen is what he is. We know what Donovan Mitchell is. But those two guys playing like this make them a legit championship contender.
They got the Celtics coming up, and I think this Celtics game is bigger than the first Celtics game because you want to. I saw what Jason Tatum said after the game, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are in the mindset that the way LeBron used to do them, where it's like, oh, y'all having a good season, that's a nice story.
Yeah.
Shut up, we've been here.
They have every right to feel that way.
That's the way they feel.
Yeah.
And for the Cavs to be on the radar, they got to say, okay, you got us in y'all's home court. Guess what? We got you here, and now we're going to show you what it looked like.
Yeah.
So now I think if they can come back and get a win, it solidifies the fact that, like, hey, these two teams are even. These two teams go back and forth all that matters. Night in, night out. You can win one game, we can come back and win another one. So I'm interested, and I think Darius Garland got to have a bounce-back game. Big bounce-back game. He was rough the first game.
Can't be 3 of 21.
Yeah, I think he need to be aggressive, and I think the Cavs, this is very important for not only them, but to show everybody else, like, hey, look, this is not a fluke. We could beat Boston, and it'll invigorate them and understand, like, hey, we wait until the offseason, and we wait until the postseason to get Boston again. Because I think it's wide open in the NBA. If the Cavs can beat the Boston Celtics, it could be a situation where you say, that was the toughest matchup they're going to see. You look at the rest of the teams like Philadelphia and New York. New York might be 1 year away. Philly's
a mess.
Philly's a mess. So in the East, if you can get past Boston,
that's it.
Right.
you got a shot.
The Knicks are pretty good, and Orlando, credit to them, they have the third best record in the East with no Banchero.
Orlando's legit.
They've won 8 of their last 9 games.
They play hard every night.
I was so impressed with them last year in that playoff
Jay,
series.
are you surprised? One of the things that I am at the season, they haven't played a clunker yet.
Yeah.
No.
They've had guys that individually have had all fights,
honestly,
but they have not played a clunker yet. And to be 20 games in, that's odd.
Their clunker was Boston. That was really
because of
they
Garland,
couldn't make a shot.
Really,
they just didn't look like the same team in that.
They were struggling to make shots.
But that's not a true. I mean, if you lose to the defending champs by 3, I don't even know you call that a clunker.
But that's what I'm saying.
But that's been their low point.
Yeah.
Yes.
But what I'm talking about is that night where you just throw your hands up in the air and halfway through the third quarter, kind of like the Lakers played against us when they were here. It's like, okay,
but again, that
not
was
our night.
That was Boston. They were down double figures.
Yeah.
And then just like that,
they were back in it.
Yeah. And, they were struggling to make shots. Boston couldn't miss. They were struggling to get to their shooters and run them off the line. The way that Boston was defending them just sort of slowed the ball movement down. So to me, that was their clunker. And they lost by 3 on the road to the defending champs.
Yeah.
If that's
what a clunker looks like.
The thing that I don't get, I don't understand where this is coming from. All this talk of like, oh, they're the Hawks. They're the Hawks from a few years ago.
Yeah, I don't buy
that 2016.
Where is that coming from?
I don't know.
Because I'm not hearing it.
Oh, God, I saw it all, especially after they lost to Boston. It was like, see, I told you. We had it on the, like, the commenters on The Athletic were saying it, and it's just sort of been the talk on social media.
Is that just fans?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't, Jay, but I think those are people that are just looking at scores. They're not watching the game.
It's nonsensical.
Well,
This is nonsensical.
Well, the Cavs aren't on TV very much. So they're not on national TV.
Right.
And so
the Celtics game was the only time, and they didn't look great in that game.
So when you get people who only see the Lakers or only see other teams that are bigger cities, you look at their roster. And by the way, Donovan Mitchell is a superstar, but he's outside of that top tier, and he's played in Utah and Cleveland. So how often have you seen a Donovan Mitchell, right?
Right.
So,
I'm cool with that. Let him sit under the
that's
radar.
fine. That's fine.
I don't think they're under the radar in the league.
No, they're not.
No, I think they might be to a section of fans that just look at box scores.
Right. Yeah,
and then they watch the one game they watch and they're like, I don't see it.
Yeah.
Because they played the Celtics and it was their bad night. But sleep on this team at your own peril.
Yeah.
Because they are what their record says they are, and that's not a fluke. Now, I did look yesterday. I didn't do the math on it, but they have played an easy schedule. It's been relatively easy.
But, I mean, they have played good teams.
They have. They played Milwaukee a couple of times, I think.
Golden State, the
Golden
Lakers.
State,
Golden
Lakers.
State, the
but that's
Lakers,
pretty much
Celtics,
everything.
Boston.
Now, you know what?
But
the East looks odd this year. When you look at the standings in the East, like,
Yeah. Well,
it's not a typical East year.
Right. But they beat Orlando. Now, you could say they beat them without Banchero, but they've played great without Banchero.
Yeah, but I asterisk that because it was without Banchero. And by the way, Orlando played very hard that night.
Right, but they've won 8 of their last 9 without him.
I know they have.
So, they beat the Knicks, who have the third best record, or fourth best record in the East.
They're only. You said they haven't played anyone. Or they had played a weak schedule.
Yeah, I would say that their schedule is. It feels to me. I don't know if there's a metric that tells you what it is, but now that we have almost a quarter of the season under our belt, it feels to me like they've played a lot of teams that are under 500.
But again, part of it is this is the new NBA where there's not the big bad wolf.
Teams,
there's the team in the West that I think is the best team is the Thunder. Because they're very much like the Cavs. No one ever watches the Thunder. No one knows anything about it.
They don't know.
But they're tied with Golden State for the best record in the West.
Yeah, but they're really long. They're really athletic. They're a really, really good team, and that's why I was joking with Mike before. Like NBA office is going to burn itself down when it's a Cavs Thunder finals for the next 3 years.
No, you aren't kidding.
They're going to lose their minds.
Yeah, let's go back to that old plan.
Yeah.
They're playing the Cavs play the Hawks twice this week, home and home, and then it'll be like Sunday they play Boston, and then next Wednesday they play Denver. Both those games are at home. Denver's obviously really good.
Denver's kind of they've got some issues.
Right, but they still got the best player in the league.
They have the best player in the league.
It'll be interesting to see how Mobley plays against him.
Yeah.
Because obviously he's as tough as it gets. So I'm looking forward to those games. But
that's what Jarrett Allen's
you guys
for.
know how I've been about the regular season NBA. I've had no interest. And I thought when they lost the winning streak that my interest would wane, but even though they've played two awful teams their last two games in Charlotte and Toronto, I've still been interested and kind of excited watching the games.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
And their ratings are up through the roof.
A couple things before we move on. I have a question and then a few comments. The question being, I know, Jay, you said the schedule has not been that strong.
Yeah.
When you look at it, I think the Eastern Conference has underperformed. At one point, it was just the Cavs and Boston with a winning record. Right now, you have 5 teams in the East at 500 or better. But
which
Jason,
is low.
If I'm wrong.
That's low.
Yeah, it is. This 3-day stretch that they had off, this is their longest stretch off to at any point this season, correct?
Oh, yeah.
So they played a lot of games.
No, to this point.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you said, yeah.
Like, so the quality of opponent might not be there, but they've played probably the most, if not right up there with the most games, within many days to start the season.
Yeah, they were at the most. I think they led the league in back-to-backs at one point, and they were playing basically every other day. And they hadn't had a practice since the season started. Wow. So these 3 days off, and I heard Kenny joking that he's going to go to Florida with so much time off. He's going to go, take some R&R in Florida.
It's funny. It felt like they were off forever because we were used to them playing so often.
Yeah.
The 3 days off felt like a long time off.
I always say this, man. Hey, listen, if I'm playing some 5-year-old, I'm taking that win. I don't care what. If you on the schedule, are
you running over that 5-year-old? You knocking him on his ass?
Move out of the way.
That was me during the Boys and Girls Club, man. I'll beat all the kids.
I'm celebrating. You can only play who you play, right? Look at the opposite end of the spectrum. If they would come out and struggle against these teams, we'd be pissed off. We say you playing down to your opponent. So congratulations for smoking them.
And if your schedule has to be loaded up at one point, you want it early in the year.
Yeah.
You don't want it. And I don't know what their April schedule is.
All wins are created equal.
But if you have a ton of back-to-backs and playing every other day, you'd rather have that in October, November
no question.
than in April.
Yeah, no question.
Take them.
Yeah, shout out to the Cavs, man. That was a great win, 17-1. We get right back at it Wednesday against Trae Young and the Atlanta Hawks. We move on, talk about Jameis Winston, but before, I got to let you know that this next segment is brought to you by Hillsdale. Time is our most precious commodity, so don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. How can you spend it wisely to improve yourself? Our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free online courses, including Introduction to Free Market Economics. So go right to hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost. It's an easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register. hillsdale.edu/lockedon. Shout out to McNuggets, who's not in the building, but he gifted me with this topic. So the Browns got 3 wins. Jameis Winston has been the starting quarterback for 2 of them. It seems like the team is gravitating towards Jameis. The question today is, if Jameis Winston was the day one starter for the Cleveland Browns, how do you think the season would have turned out?
I think they'd still be in the race.
I mean, I don't know. One or two more wins would have you in the race.
Which is why I say I think they'd still be in the race.
Obviously, he's played a lot better. He's played pretty good to very good in 3 of the 4 games that he's played. So, yeah, I mean, would they have another win or two? Yeah, I think there's a reasonable chance. I mean, you never know for sure. But to be, there was never a consideration to play him. It wasn't like they were ever considering.
And we still have to remember that he was the starting quarterback for the 21-point loss to the Saints. Now, I don't know if we can put that on him. He threw for 395 yards.
Yeah, so who knows?
But it's still possible for them to, as a team, underperform, even though the quarterback play is better.
Right, because the defense has been inconsistent this year.
Yeah. Now, some of that, I think, is effort, and some of that goes to the fact that you feel like you have no chance when Deshaun Watson's in there.
I think you get about 2 more wins. I think you would have about 5 wins so far.
Well, at 5 and 6, you're in there.
You're in
the mix. You are in there.
Yeah, I think you.
I mean, the Broncos have played really well. They're 7-5, and they're the last seed. So I thought for a while, we thought for a while maybe the last seed would be 9 wins. I don't know now. You're probably going to need to win 10 games to get to the playoffs.
Most likely. We thought that
which
was
the Browns
number
can't
at the beginning
do
of the
this
year.
Point. But
no,
had they
the
been
best
5,
they can do is get to 9
Had
and 8.
they been 5 and 6, that would have still been doable.
I was just trying to refresh my memory and go back and look, and they probably beat the Giants.
Yeah.
You could say they beat the Eagles. Raiders, Deshaun didn't play poorly against the Raiders.
Right, yeah.
So that wasn't a quarterback game. But easily this team has. Plus, there was just a confidence level that was lacking.
That's what I thought, too.
And
the effort.
I've talked to guys who felt like going into the Dallas game, going all the way back to the opener, they felt like we knew we were not ready. That game went about as how we thought it was going to go.
Right.
And same with the Washington game, really, where there was guys who felt like we wasn't going to end well. And that was the game that surprised me the most, was the Washington game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just read you, Earl. I'm just going to read this. I saw this morning right before we went on the air. Albert Breer does the Monday. It used to be Peter King. Now Albert Breer does the Monday morning quarterback. Yeah. And he said a bunch of things, some of which we'll talk about in the next couple of days. But I just wanted to read what Albert Breer said, because he talked about the coaching staff and the GM, but he talked about quarterback. He said the plan going forward isn't the same as it has been. Until now, the Browns have built the quarterback room to support Watson. This year, though, they'll look through the draft and or the veteran market to add competition to the room. This is Albert Breer saying what he's heard. Competition to the room for Watson, not necessarily for Winston. He doesn't even mention Winston. So, and then he says, so while the likelihood, because of the injury in the contract, is Watson will be back, the Browns are going to look to do more than just stopgap the backup spot. So Albert Breer's talking as if Watson's still in the mix next year.
Well,
that's delusional.
They have to say that, but I don't think he's. I mean, maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
I don't think he's actually the day one starter.
I'm gonna step on it.
You're gonna lose fan base if you bring that guy back out next year.
If that's true, that's
you're gonna
insane.
lose fan base.
I'm gonna step on this right now. Stop it, bro. It's not happening, bro. And listen, I'm Mr. 4500. You can't tell me that you watch 4 or 5 games or 3 games or whatever with Jameis Winston, and the dude is throwing for 400 yards. My question to everybody who's thinking like this: what is the difference between looking at one person and they was giving you 150, but another person comes out and gives you 300 against the Ravens? 400. The numbers don't lie. It's the same receivers.
I don't even think it's just the numbers, G. I think there's more to it than that. And go back further. Go back to Flacco, because I think it's noticeable that you have Flacco and then Watson.
I agree.
And then Winston.
Yeah.
With Flacco and Winston, it wasn't just the numbers, and it's not just the numbers, which obviously were better with Flacco and are better with Winston. Clearly. It's also just, you watch just the energy of the offense, watching the team play with those 2 quarterbacks. The offense has life. It has rhythm. Not every moment, not every drive, not even every game necessarily, but most of them.
Yeah, I agree.
And there's just there's a confidence level that the guys played with Flacco and are playing with Winston that we never saw with Watson.
I just told you. I talked to guys who said going to the Dallas game, they knew they were screwed. They knew they were screwed.
Yeah.
Going in the Dallas game. Same with Washington. Based on the week, this is not going to go well. And how often do you hear teams ever say that?
The thing is, when you watch the All-22 and when you look at the film, and every single week, Earl said something. We was on the barbershop. He was like, man, I found myself trying to look for something. I'm looking for something to be like, okay, was that good? Or
Right.
was it that bad?
Yeah.
Or how good? Was it crazy bad? And I said, so if you juxtapose two things, this is the thing that we have this thing in our fan base where we have this blind allegiance and faith to individuals. Like we hear people say, I'm riding with 6 or I'm riding with 4.
Yeah.
Instead of saying I'm riding with the Browns or riding with whoever has got the production, that's what we should be looking at. Think about it like this. If Jameis Winston, the game he had against the Saints, if you just say if that was Deshaun Watson, what would people say? People would be they would feel like they were exonerated.
Yep.
They would feel like they were emboldened, like, because look how many yards he threw for. If you had a win against the Pittsburgh Steelers in the snow with a gutsy performance coming from behind, what would they say?
Look how often we had to hear about the second half against Baltimore.
That's what I'm saying. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's all we had. Now this guy comes out and gives you these two things, and now it's like, well, I guess it was okay, but we're gonna try to look at it where it's like, come on,
they're
man.
not running this
But
back
there's-
with
no,
Watson.
no,
They're
they
not,
can't.
because
They can't.
they might be. They've made that mistake, and you can't double down on it just because of the price tag.
It's an L. You take
If
the
you
L
buy
and
a
you deal
house
with it.
that's an $85 million house and the floor keeps collapsing,
Yeah.
at some point you
That's
eat
right.
your money and
But
you move to a new
They may
one.
have to keep him technically on the roster, but he can't be part of this team going
There's
forward. He just
politics to this.
Yeah,
what,
sure.
What about what the Giants did with Daniel Jones? He had a lot of money left. How are they navigating that?
Well, he didn't.
quantity?
I mean, not close to this
cap.
money.
That's
No,
the
but
cap
it was
money.
it was a lot of money.
But
I got it, Jay. So we talked about this on a barbershop. Apparently, there's a $22 million guarantee that's associated with Daniel Jones' contract in the event that he get hurt. So my assumption is with DeVito or Locke, right? If one of those dudes was to get hurt and he was forced to be put back in the game and he got hurt, they will be on the books for those $22 million,
Right.
even though he's not in the plans. Now, granted, it's a $20 million dead cap for releasing him. So maybe the mindset is, they're saving $2 or $3 million in the event he gets hurt.
Yeah, but that's $20 million. For the Browns, it would
It's
be over
82.
$100
Yeah,
million
I mean,
if they cut him
It's
now.
it's
That's a big difference.
it's 170 million.
I had
still.
someone text me, used to be a league employee.
Yeah.
A team employee, I'm sorry. Not with the Browns, in the league. Still follows the game very closely. He texted me, he said, if you think the contract was bad now, if you're thinking it's bad now, wait until the next 2 years when the pain of that deal is going to hit you square between the eyes.
That's what I'm saying. And if you keep him on the roster, you can keep shoving.
That's why. And that's
keep
why they got to
shoving it.
technically keep him on the roster, but you can't have him really be there.
Like what I started to say was
Yeah.
there's politics to this. And
Yeah.
on November 25th, there's no point in coming out and saying he's not
Right.
going to be the starter
Right,
next year
right,
when
right.
he's still rehabbing. He's still under contract for 2 more years. I'll go back to what,
Andrew Berry said about Baker Mayfield. He's our quarterback until he wasn't.
Right. And I mean, the Guardians kept saying like Miles Straw is going to have to compete for his job. What happened to Miles Straw? He spent the entire year in the minors. So when you're saying you're bringing in competition, what you're really saying is he's not going to be the guy, but we can't tell you that on November 25th because
Yeah,
it serves
makes
no
sense.
purpose.
Yeah.
But Deshaun Watson, if Deshaun Watson is the quarterback of this team on
my
week
God.
1 next year,
You're gonna have
something has gone tragically wrong.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. There is no scenario in my head where I can see him running out there to take the
I
first
feel like
snap.
they've already made the decision.
Now, the rest of what Albert said, the Browns should be, like, I've been saying this for 2 weeks. Jameis Winston should be the quarterback of this team until you find somebody you're sure is better.
Right.
Unless you have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, which they don't, like a top 5 guy, one of those guys, you should always be looking to upgrade the position if you can. In the meantime, Jameis will keep you competitive. I don't know about you guys. I don't think you could ever win a Super Bowl with Jameis Winston as a quarterback. I guess you never know. That's just my feeling of it. But I think you can be a competitive team with Jameis Winston until you can find another quarterback.
5 years ago, I would have
Yeah.
agreed with you.
Yeah.
When you were making the case that Baker's not going to win a Super Bowl, you got to go.
Yeah.
You got to move. I don't even know that I completely agreed with that because that means that there's 5 quarterbacks that you can think can win a Super Bowl. Watching last night's game hit me square between the eyes what I've been saying for 2 or 3 years. It once was a quarterback-driven league in that if you want to make it to the conference championship, you better have one of those elite guys. But I'm watching Philly. I'm sorry, guys, Jalen Hurts is not elite. He's just not. He's a great runner of the football.
Yeah,
when you force him to stay in the pocket and throw the football, he is below average as a thrower of the football, in my view. Here's why the Eagles are on a track to go to the Super Bowl. Or at least it's going to be one hell of a conference finals between them and Detroit. Saquon Barkley changed everybody's life. He's going to run for 2,000 yards this year. The league is different. It is pivoted. They talked about it again last night. This is the 12th broadcast this year, at least, where I've heard that a part of the game is dedicated to how the league is pivoted from a passing league to a diverse league. Chris Collinsworth made the astute point. Teams are just throwing nickels out there. Fine, put a nickel out there. And all of a sudden, the quarterback production goes like this.
I'll still believe, Jay, that you could win a Super Bowl when I see it.
Listen,
yeah.
Patrick Mahomes won one last year. It was different. The way they won it was different. It's still always going to be to your advantage to have one of your guys.
Yeah.
I'll never disagree with that. That was the case when in the 80s with Marino and all of those guys.
Sure.
What I'm saying is, I'm watching a Philadelphia Eagles team take a Saquon Barkley and throw him into an offense. And this offense last year, guys, looked absolutely lost.
True.
I mean, they lost to the
second half of the
to
year.
the Buccaneers. Well, they were like 1-7 or whatever. They
But
lost
2
to the
years
Buccaneers
ago, they
in
went to the
playoffs.
Super Bowl with the same.
I agree.
Without
but
Barkley.
what they did, the difference that they made was they said, okay, we need a ground attack. We need a legitimate ground attack. It will help our passing game, and it will make our team better. They, to me, last night, the Rams aren't a great team, but they're not a terrible team. They went up and down the field on the Rams all night long.
Yeah.
Saquon Barkley ran for 255. It was a Barkley night.
Yeah.
I just believe, and Nick Chubb may be in the twilight of his career now, so it's unfortunate. Nick Chubb born 4 years later. If Nick Chubb was coming out of school or maybe 1 or 2 years in now, they even talked about the value of running backs. I think Tirico made the point. We got to a point where we'd really devalued running backs. And Collinsworth chimed in, and the league has rethought that. And we are where we are.
Yeah, I don't think the league has rethought that because
look at Barkley.
But you can't rely Barkley hasn't been great for 4 years.
No,
you can't rely on running backs from year to year.
But Bull, I think
would
the
it
reason
surprise
he
you
hasn't
if
been
Barkley
great,
wasn't great next year?
No, not at all.
Me.
Because here's what I'm learning from watching the NFL. It's like a Rubik's Cube, but the Rubik's Cube has a brain. So as you're trying to solve it, the Rubik's Cube is fighting back. And you're like, wait a minute, I was ready to go with this. No. And the pivot that the league has made is we're going to give up yards between the 20s, and we're going to give up the short intermediate stuff. But the deep stuff is gone. With the nickels and all of the defenses that are being employed right now, it's just not a drop back and let it rip league anymore.
Right.
Now, Barkley, when he first came in and struggled, he had some injuries, but when he first came in, the league was just different.
Right.
And now I think it's set up perfectly for him to succeed especially on a team that's got great receiving talent.
I agree with you. He's made obviously a huge difference there. I agree with you that the league is trending in that direction. I just want a team. There's not a single great running back that has won a Super Bowl in a long time.
No, but again, you were playing in the past. I can't do that.
Right. Until I see it win that way in the playoffs, I'm not sure we're
I got it.
quite
I
fully
understand.
there.
No, I understand.
I agree with you.
But
It's
you
headed
see
in that
trending
direction.
that way. And,
I do.
Another question. What's happened to Jalen Daniels? What's happened?
I mean, he struggled, which
The
is
league-
not uncommon.
the league has figured him out.
But it's a rookie, right? He's still got to adjust. They adjusted to him. He's got to learn to adjust.
League of
again.
adjustments, like baseball.
Bringing it back to what Breer said. He's saying that until you can figure out what you're going to do, they're going to bring in somebody, a veteran, or maybe look at the draft. Let me just give you this: the Browns ain't in a position to get no quarterback right
Not
now.
through the draft.
Let's do it, G. Let's do it, G.
Let's do it. Let's just go ahead and just run through this. Right now, let's go draft route. Right now, the Jaguars in line 2-9 for the first pick. Giants
but they're
have
not taking a quarterback.
Giants have the second pick.
Giants will.
Raiders
Eventually.
will.
Jags will likely
Raiders
trade
are
it.
third.
Jags will trade it to someone that
Patriots
needs
are
it.
fourth. Panthers are fifth. Titans are sixth. The Jets are at 7, and then the Browns right now 8.
Yeah, right now there's 4, maybe 5 teams ahead of them that want a quarterback.
Okay. Now you say, okay, well let's go the free agent route. Now this is even more depressing. Sam Darnold's not going anywhere. Let's keep it real. He's going to sign right back again.
Yeah.
So these are the free agents of 2025: Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Jacoby Brissett. We already had him. Taylor Heineke, Marcus Mariota, Drew Lock, Jerry Stidham.
That's it.
Andy Dalton.
He's their best option. You're
Justin
right.
Fields. We already had Flacco.
Yeah.
Mac Jones, Carson Wentz, Jimmy Garoppolo, Case Keenum. We already had him. Mason Rudolph, Easton Stick, Cooper Rush, Josh Dobbs. We already had him. Brandon Allen, Nick Mullins, Kyle Trask, Josh Johnson, Kyle Allen again.
Had Josh Johnson?
Yeah, we had Josh Johnson, Judge Driscoll. We had him too.
Yeah.
Shane Buechele, Sam Ellinger, and Tommy DeVito.
Don't forget Daniel Jones.
Daniel Jones. Those are your names.
No. Here's what's wrong with that theory.
Yeah.
That's assuming all great quarterbacks come in the top 8 spots. Where was Patrick Mahomes drafted?
Oh,
Yeah.
you wishing on the star then. That means
No, but what he's saying is
in
that
a short draft,
you have enough there may be 4
Just
quarterbacks
4 teams.
drafted before the Browns even pick.
But here's what I'm going to tell you about that. What's wrong with that theory? Go all the way to Mr. Irrelevant. Talent can be found in the first round, in the second round, in the third round.
But do you have faith in this team finding it?
What's the likelihood of that?
Misses at the top of the draft,
Absolutely.
at quarterback, as there are hits.
But
we
wait a
do
second. The reality still is that the majority of the good quarterbacks in the league were at least top 35 picks.
Bull, I will give you that.
Yeah.
But the point that I'm making is, if you block your mind, what success have the Browns had drafting quarterbacks early?
None.
Anybody?
They've had none early or
To be
late.
fair, they haven't drafted a lot early.
I mean, Baker took them to a playoff game.
Yeah.
Everybody else, they drafted a lot of quarterbacks in the first round.
Brady Quinn, Brandon
Brady
Weeden.
Quinn, where was Manziel drafted? Second round?
Johnny,
First.
first.
First, okay.
yeah.
First round. Look at the guy. Our highway is littered with guys that we drafted in the first round. There are plenty of second, third, fourth round success stories in the NFL.
Not a quarterback.
Well,
no
the greatest of all time was 199, sixth round.
Right, but those are rarities.
You talk about outliers.
I
exception
understand
more
the
than the
rarities.
rule.
I get that.
in
What I'm saying is,
a weak draft class.
if you do your due diligence, and if you find a guy that you look at and you say, like Kobe recognized Ty Jerome as a guy they wanted to draft.
Yeah.
There wasn't a long line of teams that wanted to draft Ty Jerome.
But he wasn't projected as a first-round pick.
No, I know. But what I'm saying is he's very serviceable in the league today. We can't close our mind to the idea that you might find a guy in round 3.
Of course, but you're more likely to find a guy in round 1.
Agreed.
So, yeah, could they find a guy in round 3? Yeah, but there's no obvious better. Now, Jameis Winston is a free agent, too, because he's only signed a 1-year deal. There is no obvious better quarterback for the Browns in 2025 today
than Jameis Winston.
Let me ask Jason a question.
I think that's fair.
Because
to say.
Hang on, I'm just curious, real quick. Who would you rather have right now for the Browns, Baker Mayfield or Jameis Winston?
Baker Mayfield.
All right, just
Now, I still believe, last thought on this and I'll let it be. I still believe Baker, I still believe ultimately the reason I still believe you probably can't win with Baker and Jameis is because they both
picks.
turn it over too much.
Turn it over.
That's their biggest flaw for both of them.
Let me ask you this, Jay. He's a free agent. He's got the perfect scenario. What he wanted this year was a runway into a long-term deal.
Jameis? You talking Jameis?
Jameis. He got his perfect scenario. Quarterback goes down. He's playing well.
Yeah.
It's kind of I saw that the Guardians just re-signed Tristan McKenzie, a very nominal deal. You had told us that the ink was ready to be put onto the contract.
$2 million, I think he's getting.
$2 million,
Yeah.
as opposed to a long-term, multi-million, tens of millions of dollars.
Yep.
Gone. Out. He got hurt. Sometimes it works to both teams' advantage. They don't want Jameis Winston to hit the free market. They do not. Because right now, he is their best option. I'm sorry, that's the way it is.
You think he's going to get a long-term deal from somebody?
Well, it just takes one of the other 31 to say we need him. We take him. I like what we see from him, and it ratchets the price up. What I'm asking is there a scenario where the Browns say, before the market gets white hot, we're gonna extend an offer to control the price?
The only thing I could say is what I said last week. To this point, and maybe this changes based on the way that he played the other night, and we'll see what he does the rest of the way, they have not shown an inclination to believe that Jameis is any sort of solution, short-term or long-term. They've never viewed him that way. They tried trading him at the end of training camp.
The obvious question
they
is,
demoted
if
him
not
to third
Jameis,
string.
then who?
Well, I don't know. Through the draft, I
so
don't know.
you got a hand in the bird, in the hand,
I'm not saying
and one in the bush.
I'm not saying they're right or wrong. I'm saying if you're asking me, are they going to sign him long term? I'm telling you, I don't think so.
Well,
because they've never shown an inclination to have any sort of long term.
If they do not sign Jameis Winston, it will be catastrophic Because your alternative is if you don't find
Go
somebody,
find another one.
if you don't find another person who is more accomplished or better than him, guess what your alternative is? The same guy we were talking about a segment ago coming back playing. Y'all want that?
Yeah. No, but
so if we got to come to a conclusion.
For me,
either we want to see 4 back because that's the most economical way that they're going to make this work.
Right.
And can you imagine if Jameis Winston is not here to say, okay, well, he's better than him? What if they bring in some other guy and you're looking around and it's a competition?
If I were the Browns, I would wait till the end of the season. And then if things continue in a positive manner, I would then sign him at the end of the. Why do I have to sign him now?
But
they're
look
the
at that
only
list
team
of
that can
people.
talk to him now.
So wait
a second. The season ends in January.
Right.
But
you don't become a free agent until March.
So let me ask you
within
this:
2 months.
on the list of people that
If he goes that way, then there's the risk of injury is gone. So there's no risk for him. Now, the risk for him is what if I get hurt?
The list of people.
I just don't believe there's going to be people knocking down his door for a long-term deal.
I'm asking you a question. From the list of people that we've seen, who's raising their stock to a point where you're saying, I'll take that guy over Jameis?
I'll say what I said last week. You're going through a messy divorce. There's no need to rush into another marriage with Piper on the pole.
Then when the music stops, you might still be standing.
So here's my thing, though.
Because you saw the free agent class that's coming out.
It's crazy. But if you saw it, right, all those other guys, some of them aren't even playing.
Do you guys agree that Jameis is the most attractive guy to hit free agency next year? Out of the list that you just read?
He's the number one guy on that list.
I like him more than anybody else on that list.
And
I just don't buy any of those. I don't buy any of those guys, including Jameis, are getting some big contract in the offseason.
Yeah, I don't.
So I think that if they wait till January to sign him, they'll be able to sign him.
I would not be rushing into a long-term deal.
What is the benefit of waiting till January?
I want to see more because this is a guy who in his career has been at best inconsistent.
Okay.
So now I'm supposed to say that 3 good games out of 4, I wipe away everything else he's done in his career.
It's about the alternative. I just think it's about the alternative.
He's always going to be better than Kyle Trask. He's always going to be better than Shane Buechele or Sam Ehlinger. He's always going to be better than those guys.
Yeah, but there may be a guy, I don't know that I want it. How many years do you want to give him?
I want to give him 2 with an option.
I mean, I don't see any harm in waiting till the end of the season.
I'll give him a 2-year deal, but I will wait till the end of the year. I think I'm with Bull on this. There's no reason for the Cleveland Browns to rush this situation. And not only that, there's something about Jameis is hungry. He's playing for something. And I'm not saying Jameis is built the type of way as soon as he get his bread, he get his contract, that he takes his foot off the gas. I'm just saying there's something to be said about a guy who's knowing he's out here playing for something.
No, I agree with that, but the risk is, it's a calculated risk for both sides. The Browns are saying he's clearly going to be the most attractive free agent at the most coveted position in the league.
What if he plays like crap the rest of the year?
Well, listen.
And now you signed him to a 2-year deal.
Well, wow, we got a guy right now that we signed to a 5-year
I know, but that's already done. Why do you want to?
I know,
that's complicating mistakes.
I just don't know who you're going to.
But I'm just saying, you guys think there's some threat of him leaving. No, I think if the Browns want him, they could sign him.
So here's the thing. It's all about predicting the stock market, right? It's all about whether you
projecting forward,
whether you believe the market is going up or down. All it takes is one team to say, you know what, we didn't get our pick of quarterbacks in these young market. We have the.
But it's going to be settled before that.
But watch this. They have the cap space. We are in the purgatory.
You say if they don't get their quarterback, the draft is in April. Jameis Winston will be signed before then by one team or another.
But what I'm saying to you is there is an option where a team is picking and they're saying, okay, either we got a quarterback that we want somebody to start now, or we feel like Jameis Winston was a better option for those.
What if the Raiders, when the season's over, said we'll give them 3 years, $45 million, which, by the way, is cheap for a quarterback. But now the Browns are saying, oh hell, we don't have that room on our sheet.
I just don't. I don't believe that would be the case. That wouldn't make much sense to me for the Raiders.
Why not?
Because I just
that's a Raiders-like move if I've ever heard.
I ultimately don't look at. I mean, they're probably going to draft a quarterback.
Watch this.
Yeah, they're going to draft a quarterback, but If
you're going to draft a quarterback, why would you pay Jameis 3 years, $45 million?
The same reason.
I think the Falcons did it with Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins is way better than Jameis Winston.
But hold on.
I mean, look at their numbers. Is he?
Jay,
Look at their numbers this year.
Yes.
What's their number?
That's irrelevant, Jay. Coming into
I don't think you guys are being fair on that.
Coming into this year, Kirk Cousins has played at a Pro Bowl level.
Okay.
Jameis Winston has never played at a Pro Bowl level.
Winston had a 5,000-yard season.
And he threw 30 picks.
Yes, I know he did, but it's not like the guy's never done anything.
That was like 10 years ago, 8 years ago.
It wasn't 10 years ago.
Kirk Cousins has had a much better career than Jameis Winston.
And he's making more than $15 million a year for 3 years.
I know that, but most teams in the NFL would be okay with
You're
Kirk Cousins.
projecting that no other team is going to give him a deal that you can't meet.
Not only am I projecting that, I think it's most likely it won't.
We'll find out.
I'm not even worried about it because the Browns would have 2 months between the end of the season and the start of free agency.
To find what?
And no,
to sign him if they
but
want to.
Here's what I'm saying. You're losing the hammer in that situation. The hammer right now is he's thinking this. Trust me, I've talked to athletes that have taken deals like this.
Yeah.
It's what you have versus what you might get. Tristan McKenzie's the perfect example. The hammer is he could get hurt. If he gets hurt, guess what his market value is?
We have a difference in opinion on what his market value is.
Not if he gets hurt. If he gets hurt, he has no market value.
Three good games in the last 3 years.
If I'm a team, I look at what Sam Darnold is doing, and I look at what they got.
Sam Darnold's not getting a huge contract at the end of this year.
But what I'm saying, though, Bull, is this. It's not about the huge contract. It's about the situation that, hey, we are winning football games, and we have our future quarterback.
Well, they've gone 2-2 with him.
It's a hell of a lot better than 1-6.
So do you? But what I'm saying is,
you said they're winning football games.
I'm talking about the Vikings. I'm talking about the Vikings.
Yeah, okay.
And the Vikings are.
The Vikings haven't given him an extension.
But here's what we're saying: they got a quarterback backing them up. That's part
they
of
don't know
future.
if he's any good.
JJ McCarthy.
We don't know if he's any good. We don't know if he can play.
He's their
future quarterback.
So are they going to sign Sam Darnold to an extension?
I would.
Yeah. Why haven't they done it yet if they're worried about losing him?
Listen,
we don't even know if J.J. McCarthy's going to be healthy next year.
Here's what I'm saying. The Cleveland Browns are not in a position of power. We are speaking as if the Cleveland Browns are in a position of power where people are knocking doors down to come here. People know that we owe our quarterback that ain't going to play $80-something million. If you think that a team won't go to Jameis Winston to say, listen, you want to stay over there and deal with the Watson going in and out, or you going to come here and we'll build around you for these 2-3 years and give you the opportunity you want.
All right, then. I mean,
real quick,
I think we're at an impasse.
Real quick, Bull, because I want to keep this conversation going. Just a couple programming notes. I need to get a read in. Abdullah Mason was scheduled to join us at noon. It was a mishap in communication. He's going to join us at 12:40. We'll take that to the end and probably be no overtime. Of course, we still got the Cavs topic to get to. I just want to get a read in and get back to this conversation. We was also going to do Kevin Stefanski's press conference. We can touch on that a little bit towards the end of the show. He really didn't say much.
He didn't say. Well,
shocking.
I'm not surprised about that.
He didn't say much. But let me get this read in real quick. This conversation that we're having right now about Jameis Winston is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out in your lineup if it's not perfect. You can double your money even if the ones you pick doesn't hit. I have a lot of fun with it. I know I have fun with it this weekend with Caleb Williams. So what you do is you just download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL. You'll get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game.
Rest in peace to Rico Cardi, former Cleveland Indians player who passed away over the weekend.
Guy used like a 47-ounce bat.
There were guys back in those days that would just use these crazy heavy bats.
Rico had a funny batting stance. You guys remember? He kind of knock-kneed in. He was a professional hitter.
I feel like you don't see as many unique batting stances these days.
Yeah,
remember Julio Franco? You know, like you had so many really cool.
Pete Rose had a distinguished
Darryl Strawberry.
Well, now everybody go to these hitting academies and they
all swing the same way.
They all swing the same way.
I'm paying thousands of dollars for my son to swing just the same as everybody else.
Swing.
Hey, no, but listen, I've seen your son swing. Keep doing it.
He's doing all right.
Rico Cardi was a professional hitter. I bet he was a 300 hitter for his career.
Yeah, he was a good hitter.
He was always 300.
Porzingis makes his debut tonight.
Oh,
great.
So he'll probably play Sunday.
It was just Shams just broke it.
All right, good.
Yeah,
very good.
well, I don't know their schedule. They won't play him on a back-to-back, but yeah, he might play Sunday.
Y'all got a question for you all. So this is a healthy conversation about Jameis Winston, right? Because me and G had the same conversation Saturday. What do you all think about this scenario? Let's say Jameis plays well enough to win 2 or 3 more games, right? Let's be reasonable here. 2 or 3 more games, okay? Yeah. And the Browns probably can still use a quarterback. I think we all agree Jameis is a bridge quarterback, possibly, right?
Yeah.
What if you're in a situation, you got the 5th pick of the draft? You know, the top echelon quarterbacks is gone. What do you think about taking Travis Hunter and then possibly?
I'm not sure he'll be there at 5.
No way.
He'll be gone at 3.
Yeah, I think he's. I think
He's going to probably be the first non-quarterback.
I wish he wouldn't have done that Heisman pose in the end zone Saturday. God.
I hated that
even
too.
when he did it, to me, it felt like Kansas was always in control of the game, and I know it felt like here they come, but I was just like,
How
Did
about
you hear
a
your boy
cheap
Dion
shot
after
on
the game?
Sanders?
I did.
He said nobody in here played hard enough.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody gave an effort.
And it's true.
Did you
Kansas
see that cheap shot to the knee of Sanders?
That was
I
awful.
did.
That was
No,
horrible.
I was
didn't like
crazy.
it. Didn't like it at all. Kansas is weird. They went without a win last year. They're the first team ever, NCAA history, to go winless and then in the following season have 3 straight wins against ranked opponents. Like
That is weird.
They're playing hard. I expected Colorado to roll on them, and after 2 series, I said, Kansas came to play today.
I go back and I think about, what Sean King said last week, and he's assessing this upcoming quarterback class, and he says, if these top guys was in last year's draft, Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams still gets drafted higher.
I read
Yes.
that too.
Now, we always
Yeah.
go back and forth about how weak or strong a class is, and truthfully, we never know until they play a game. But I guess I'm coming up with alternate scenarios in my head. Do you take the best player, i.e. Travis Hunter, the best tackle, the best skill position player, maybe draft a guy like Beck 3rd round, and just wait until next year till guys like Archie Manning become available?
You should. First of all, you never know from year to year. Second of all, there ends up being most years at least one quarterback that ends up being really good. Not every year. That draft a few years ago with Kenny Pickett
That was as bad
That
as
was
we
a
thought.
terrible
Yeah.
draft. But most years there ends up being at least one quarterback that's good. But teams make a huge mistake when they feel like they have to draft. You should never draft a quarterback because you need one. You should draft a quarterback because there's one worth drafting.
One that you think will work in your
That's
system.
it. Not just because we need a quarterback, we have to take one. That's
Yes,
stupid.
I agree with that.
That makes no sense. So yeah, the Browns don't. You should never have to take a quarterback unless you think that guy is a. You should only take a quarterback in the first round if you're as sure as you can be that guy's going to be a great quarterback.
So-
Otherwise, you shouldn't take him.
So to me, I look at the landscape.
Yeah.
I look at the free agent market. I'm like, I don't like that. I look at the draft class and I say, okay, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. Anything after that?
And
I
here's
don't
the
like
thing.
it.
We're not going to get one of those 2 unless we trade up, and we don't have the capital to do that. It's, I just remember you sitting in that chair screaming and yelling at me that they had to go for Deshaun Watson because there were no other options. And so I'll use your own theory.
It wasn't, to be fair, it wasn't just about no other options. At the time when he played in Houston, Deshaun Watson was playing at an all-pro level.
No, I'm giving you
Yeah.
that. I'm giving you that. I'm saying
Yeah.
we drafted the player we drafted.
Right.
Now, he hasn't been that player.
Yeah.
But up to that point, he seemed to fit in that slot.
Right.
Okay, and I just remember the argument you used when I said, guys, we don't have to make this move. We've got a guy. And you were screaming at me saying he's never going to win a Super Bowl. He's not the guy. We've got to move on.
Yeah.
And where else are we going to get a quarterback? Now, I know it's different because Jameis is not looked at as Deshaun Watson was when we got him.
Yeah.
But clearly, he's a much better player today than Deshaun Watson is. I mean, the
Today,
proof is in the pudding. Well, no.
Everybody is.
So I'll just use
Yeah.
your own logic
Yeah.
moving forward. Okay, if he's clearly better than Deshaun Watson, and we know what the dance floor looks like of potential dance candidates, and we know we're not going to have one of the top 2 in the draft, then if not Jameis, then who? Right now, to me, Jameis is the best looking girl in the
I
ball.
just don't think there's a.
I'll say
I don't
this.
think you have to make that decision right now.
I'll say
is
But
all I'm
if
saying.
you wait till the end of the season
Yeah.
and he's not hurt, Jameis isn't going to sign the first number that comes down the pike. There's no risk. He's going to sit back and say, "I'm taking offers."
And let me give you this. Let me give you this. Let me give you this, and you can answer. One of the greatest movies of all time, I think, the movie Margin Call. He says,
Margin Call? I don't think I ever saw Margin.
I saw it. It's a good movie.
It's talk about the stock market crashing.
Okay, yeah.
And he says, let me tell you something. The CEO is talking about, Mr. Sullivan. Do you care to know why I'm in this chair, meaning the CEO chair? I mean, can I tell you why I earn the big bucks? He said, yes, go ahead. He said, I'm here for one reason and one reason alone. I'm here to guess what the music might do a week, a month, a year from now. That's it.
Projecting.
Nothing more. And standing here tonight, I'm afraid I don't hear a thing. Just
Let's be fair, he was probably doing illegal trading. Let's be honest.
No. Basically, he sold all his, he short sold all his stocks. Basically, knowing it was
to cut his losses.
To cut his losses.
Yeah.
And he said, we could wait a couple of weeks from now.
And it might be worth nothing.
And it's worse than we are today.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm just doing the evaluation. I'm looking at the landscape. Is Jameis Winston the comfortable choice? Am I sleeping well at night being like, well, Jameis Winston is our best option? No, not really necessarily. But what I am saying to you is this. Give me my money, and if I sign him now, I can get him at a lower price, and I can still have enough resources to make the team around him better enough to compete when I know I'm going to have restraints when it comes to cap and quarterbacks and other people like that.
You guys, I'll make just my last thought on it, because obviously we're at an impasse. We're not going to agree on this.
Right.
Our evaluation of Jameis's worth in the market and this. Yes, if you think there's going to be teams that want to pay him a lot of money, then yeah, I understand why you'd say you want to sign him now. I believe if the Browns want to re-sign him, they will be able to, and I don't think there'll be a big thing in the market, because I think all the teams
What did Joe Flacco get from the Colts?
Not
nothing.
much.
Okay, he's 40.
Yeah.
James is 10 years
I mean, you
younger.
guys stood. Jay for sure sat there and screamed at us. So you had to re-sign Joe Flacco last year.
I did. I still think that we should have done that.
No, they shouldn't have.
No, I said it yesterday or Friday when we discussed it. They lucked into it and got Jameis Winston, who's a maybe better version at 10 years younger.
Yes.
Who's that guy coming next year?
We didn't think of Jameis Winston. He wasn't even on our radar last year. So who knows? Maybe there's somebody else. I don't know. So I'm not saying you have to let Jameis go. I'm saying there's no rush to sign.
How much do you want to pay him? How much do you want to give him in guaranteed dollars right now?
Here's what
listen, I'll be willing to give him 20, 25.
And I won't even do that because
and he's played 2 good games in 5 years.
But here's the problem
25?
with that. I can't tell you a number, but right now you're bidding against yourself. To your point, that the CEO of every major corporation is making these decisions in real time every day. You're projecting what does the market look like in a week, in 3 months, in a year. What I'm saying is it's not what you want to pay him. It's what you'll end up paying him later if you don't pay him now.
Yeah, we get it.
And we don't have the luxury to miss.
I just don't agree with you that his price is going to skyrocket.
And I don't think they want to pay him at all.
I'm not saying skyrocket.
Yeah, I don't think they want to pay him at all.
Okay, then guess what? Roll in who you rolling in here?
4.
No, it won't be.
If it's that, I'm done with the Browns. I'm telling you, I won't watch them anymore. I'll resign from the show.
I'm trying to help
and
y'all.
I will never watch another Browns snap of football in my life.
Help me help you guys. You guys do not want Deshaun Watson as quarterback, but yet still you are reluctant to sign a guy that will make that happen.
I just don't.
Listen,
make it make sense to me.
I can't.
No, listen. If Jameis wants to take a 1-year, $6 million deal next year, bring him back. $8 million on a 1-year deal, bring him back. Beyond that, I'm not going to do it off.
I just don't. I don't buy that Jameis was so desperate. He's made $76 million in his career. I don't think he's desperate to sign like he would have. He would sign for significantly less now. I just think you guys are. Nobody has wanted him for years.
It doesn't matter what everybody wants, Bull. It's about what you can do in your system. At some point, you have to have confidence in the people you have in place that say, we believe in what we have going, not based on what everybody else
But you're arguing that you should sign him now because he'll be in demand.
No, I'm arguing he's your best option, but not about the demand.
But a year ago, you wouldn't have said Jameis Winston was the Browns' best option, would you?
Here's what I'm saying to you. you had Flacco here, right?
Yeah.
In the beginning of the season when Deshaun Watson was playing poorly,
Yeah.
everybody screamed, why didn't we bring Flacco back?
I didn't scream.
Everybody in the mom scrum for
Well, not
the
Jason.
mountaintops.
I got a question, G, before we move on.
Yeah.
Do you feel like if Jameis Winston is your best option right now today on November 25th, do you still think he'll be the best option when the season ends?
Well, you're projecting now.
Yeah,
but yeah.
we're in the projection. Sure.
You guys.
But he'll be healthy then. See, what the calculus Jameis has to make today, if you make an offer, he's going to go home and he's going to sit down with wifey, and here's what he's going to say. Babe, I don't know, man. I'm watching quarterbacks around me drop like flies. The guy that I'm backing up had a fluky non-contact
But Jay, he's
injury.
made $76 million. He could take that chance. Why
Sure,
would he
but
not?
guys don't think about how much they made. They think about how much they can make.
The bottom line is, you guys said, well, who are you going to replace him with? Well, last year, if I would have suggested Jameis Winston, you would have been like, that's ridiculous. He can't do it. You 100% would have said that, both of
Maybe
you.
I would have.
but
I've seen him in the system.
For 4 games.
For 4 games.
There's a lot of guys that look good in short stints.
He's threw for 400 yards.
Derek Anderson looked good for a year. Imagine
There's a
if
lot of guys that look good in short
but
stints.
guys, if you go back in Jameis's career.
let's not act like
He's
he's
had-
played 4 games good.
Right.
Like
He's had
we're
two
diminishing.
4,000 and a 5,000-yard season.
Who pulls that off? That's garbage.
if
Sean King sits here and says he's going to be different moving forward. His touchdown to interception rate is going to look much different because he's learned from the past. I don't know if
Maybe
he has.
so.
So far he has.
Again.
So far he's 2-1 touchdowns to picks.
I just think I'm fine with, right now, if you ask me, who's their best option for quarterback to start next year? Right now, I would say it's probably Jameis Winston.
Right.
I'm not worried about them losing him if they want him at the end.
I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you another reason outside of it, and I know, like, I kind of go on a realm sometimes that has no facts associated with it. But
Wait a minute. What?
Yeah, me. I do that. I think there's an aspect here that he's had an opportunity to revitalize his career here in Cleveland.
Right.
He chose Cleveland to be Deshaun Watson's backup, where he had offers to where he could compete, quote unquote,
Did he?
for a starting job. And he said it himself. God led him to Cleveland. I just feel like if you can revitalize your career here, we all know he's had the roller coaster, the ups, the downs, the highs, the lows, or whatever. Like, I think he loves the city. I think he's very charismatic. I think that the team gravitates towards him. And like most other quarterbacks, he seems to be growing and having more success with Kevin Stefanski. Plus, it's Cleveland. We can feed them Polish
Okay, now
boys.
watch. Yeah,
we
by
can
the
feed
way,
them Slimans.
But let's just.
I
We can
don't
do
know
whatever
that
we got to
anybody-
do to keep him here.
Earl, we have no idea if anybody else offered him a contract. I don't believe
No,
that.
his agent did say that, though. I mean, is it
That doesn't
true?
mean
Who
it's
knows?
true. Of course his agent's going to say that.
You don't know.
He signed for
You
$4
never
He
know.
million.
signed for $4 million.
But-
Who
but-
could have offered him a chance to compete?
I'll give you a funny scenario that I'd like you to answer.
Yeah.
Okay, God led him to Cleveland. At 1 year, $4 million? I don't know.
$4 million.
Okay. Now, God calls. He said, Jameis, this is God.
Yeah, hello.
What's up, Dad?
I got Sin City on the line, Vegas.
Ooh.
Bet.
3 years, 45.
I won't go to no strip clubs and I won't gamble, but I'll be there.
Okay, we'll take the deal.
Earl, I love you, but that's what fans do is con themselves. Oh, he loves Cleveland. He does
Yeah,
that.
nonsense. He loves money.
That's it.
I did
He
it
loves
with Donovan
money.
Mitchell.
What's that?
I did it with Donovan Mitchell.
And Jose Ramirez, there are outliers. But
With
those
money.
are guys that are already making $100 million, and it's the difference between 170 and 210. Okay.
Well, Donovan Mitchell didn't take. Oh, Donovan Mitchell
no.
did. Yeah.
No, I was just saying bull on the fact
Yeah.
that he loved Cleveland, and that played a part into his decision.
He may be.
Yeah,
maybe
and
Jameis
Jose
does
Ramirez.
love Cleveland.
Jose Ramirez, these guys are
Jameis
superstars.
may love Cleveland, but that's not going to stop him from signing
No,
somewhere else.
if Vegas calls and says 3 and 45,
Yeah.
he loves them some Vegas.
I don't buy that any team offered him a contract.
I'll just say this: if you Kevin Stefanski and you Andrew Berry and you just got a situation where people are saying you're coming back next year and it looks like you may skate this year, why in the hell would I go back to the drawing board and find somebody they ain't been here, teach them a new system, get them up and running?
I know.
And
Again.
and you know next year you on the
I
hot
think
seat.
all this
You
is
know
a moot
you start
point
on the hot
because
seat.
I believe if the Browns did go to him and offer him, I think Jameis is going to say, nope, I'm good. I'm going to let it ride. I'm going to let it ride.
Okay.
And here's the thing, to your point of the stock market, because I've always looked at it as the stock market. Right now, he's trading at a number. Mm-hmm. But there's 6 games left. If he goes 4-2 and continues to throw for 300 yards a game and twice the touchdowns as interceptions, where does the price of that stock go?
Up.
Up.
Not that much.
Oh,
No,
hold on.
but-
Hey, watch
but it's
this.
not going down.
Watch this.
Well, but what if he goes 2-4 and throws more interceptions than touchdowns?
Then the price goes down and you're fine.
Yeah, right. So my thing is, but they got some tough games. Trust me.
They do.
If you want, hey, listen, I
If he balls out and wins some of those tough games,
I'm
though.
a religious man. The worst thing you need is preacher man going out here throwing for 300 against the Chiefs. That stock price going to be like this.
My point is that I don't think he can raise his money that much because this short amount of games for a guy who's mostly been disappointing in his career. He's had his moments, but he's mostly been disappointing for a guy who was drafted first overall. There just seems to be no inclination from the league that anybody wants to commit to him long term. Now that could change.
That's very true.
But there's been. I
agree.
just don't see it.
I
So
agree
if
with
they have
that.
to pay a few million more because he plays great at the end of the year, so be it. Jimmy Haslam, the one thing I can say about him positively, the only thing, is that he's shown if he has to pay a guy, he pays a guy.
See, I think everybody keeps talking about that as that's a good thing about Jimmy Haslam. It's a horrible thing if you're spending money and lighting it on fire.
Agreed, but
So it's not a good thing that he's spending money. It's a bad thing that he's spending money poorly.
well, yeah, but it's still good that he spends, but it's bad
Well,
that he spends it poorly. Yeah.
I'd rather be the Guardians that spends little but spends it very wisely.
Hey, real quick, we got to move on because we got 20 minutes before we have our guests. One thing about our show that's really, really dope, when we have spirited conversations that's slotted for 10 to 15 minutes, we let it go for 45 minutes to an hour because we can do whatever the hell we
Hell,
want.
that wasn't even in the rundown.
Yeah, it
No,
wasn't even in the
wasn't.
rundown.
I had to
It
ask
wasn't.
Jason that question. I'm sorry.
Look at you, Jason. All right, let's move on, though. Our next segment is brought to you by FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL.
By the way, quick shout out Rico Cardi, 15 big league seasons, 299 career average.
Wow.
Can you imagine? Like 4 or 5 more hits,
Yep.
and he's a career 3. I round him up.
Yeah.
But R.I.P. Rico Cardi. He was always one of my favorites back in the day. Wonderful hitter.
This topic here is because of you, Jay,
Okay.
because of what you said on the show Friday, and
Yeah.
it sparked some debate and some interest. And we have the great Jason Lloyd here. We have the Brahma Bull, the Brahma Adam Bull, and then we have the Duke of Knee Jerk. So this is a perfect panel.
No. Big Circus.
I like
Big
how
circus,
Jason
my
gets
bad.
called the great, and then G and I are
My
just,
bad.
we're not that great.
I'm the Big Circus.
Yeah, all right.
Here we go.
We all know that the 2015-2016 Cavaliers is the most accomplished, okay? Fans, most accomplished. But are the 2024-2025 Cleveland Cavaliers a more talented group from top to bottom than that team?
No.
No. I say no too.
No.
Really, the question
Yeah.
that I asked
No.
was, I believe, because I'll maintain till my dying breath, even if this team wins the NBA championship, I'm
Yeah.
still going to pick the 15-16 Cavs because of who they beat. They beat the all-time greatest regular season team that's ever been
That's right.
assembled. So this team is never going to, unless they win 4 straight, okay, it's not. But the point that I was bringing up Friday, and I stand by this, I believe this. I believe this team has more depth. I believe that Atkinson can go deeper with more confidence in this bench than Ty Lue could go with his bench in 15-16. And primarily because he had the wrecking ball known as LeBron James.
Go ahead. What do you got?
Well, okay, let's go through the roster.
Go through the names.
LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin.
Yeah.
Out of here.
And also
Dead.
take Mitchell and Garland and Mobley out of this argument.
Smoked.
JR, Tristan, Channing, Deli, Shump, RJ. Where are we at?
You're
I done spilled my
well. You're
milk.
actually right now. You're at 8. 8 deep.
2,
Hey.
3,
But you're only
4,
8 deep.
Hey.
5, 6.
I'm not picking my phone up. I'm going to just
Deli,
let Jason
7.
Lloyd. Jason Lloyd was in the locker room jumping around, pouring champagne on his face. Stop, talk to these rosters, Jason.
I gotta start over. Let's count. LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin, JR, Tristan,
Crazy.
Channing, Deli, Shump, RJ
9.
is 9.
9.
Talk to him.
Now, some of those guys.
Timo Mozgov would be 10.
Yeah, but again, some of these guys are extreme, defined role.
Yeah.
I don't think you could even have a real
Verjao
argument about
11.
it
Verjao would be
until
11.
we see this team in the playoffs.
I forgot.
Yeah,
Verjao
and
was on
look,
that
I
team.
know because
Well, they traded him.
Also,
Yeah,
it's only 18 games, and last year the Cavs played an 18-game stretch where we thought that they were the second coming of the Golden State Warriors.
Well,
remember?
Not like this.
No, but they were outscoring the rest of the league. They were number one in point differential for, I think, a 20-game stretch.
Right.
And we thought, oh my God, they don't need Mobley, and they don't need, or maybe it was Jarrett Allen. Remember, there were injuries to Allen and Garland.
Yeah.
And no, Mobley and Garland. And all of a sudden, they went up to here in efficiency and point spread and everything else. So it is really difficult to make this case because we only have 18 games to base it off on. But my eyes, looking at what I've seen so far, and if I extrapolate that out over the course of a year, Ty Jerome is a bench player, a strictly bench player. You know, two of those guys you mentioned were starters. So who off of that group is Ty Jerome?
Listen, let me tell you this. Let me just keep it real. I could put Mon Shumpert on Ty Jerome, and he ain't Ty Jerome.
We don't know. I mean,
No, I know that.
Shump was good defensively.
He was great defensively.
He's locking him up.
Very limited offensively.
Shump was
locking him up.
Yeah, but he's a one-way
was
player.
like a little better
Shump was
version of Okoro.
Right?
Yeah.
He's
with
better,
less
he's
offense.
better than court. Better
with
than
less
Porter.
offense.
Now look,
I don't know. Is it less offense?
Better defense for sure.
Yeah.
J.R. Smith is sneaky. J.R. Smith hits big time shots.
Yeah, sure.
Tristan
But
Thompson,
JR was a starter.
Tristan Thompson in his prime is a monster on the boards.
Yeah, but again,
But Jarrett Allen's better than Tristan.
But Jay's trying to talk about the bottom of the roster.
I'm
yeah,
looking
I
at the
am. I'm
bottom
talking
top
about
guys.
from 6 down.
Well,
I'm not talking.
Listen,
You want to go
Shumpert-
6 down?
I do because the case I made was
All right.
depth from the starting
So
rotation
who were the Cavs'
down.
5 starters? Was
Well, it changed. It changed during the course of the year.
right, but
They traded for Timo that
And then
year.
he started for a little bit.
but he didn't start in the finals.
Tristan, LeBron, Kevin, Kyrie,
Tristan and
Tristan,
JR.
And JR.
and JR.
All right, so we'll take
those
them out.
5 out of the mix and take our 5, our starting
take
5
them
out. of
5
the
out.
mix.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
let's go this way. Who's going to counterpoint what Ty Jerome's bringing? Who is that team's Ty Jerome?
I already told you, I'm putting Shumpert on him. He's not Ty
No.
Jerome.
You're pretending that this is a game and we're matching guys up.
Well,
Because when you're a bench player, you can't do that because if you put your rotation in, it doesn't mean I have to put my bench rotation in.
you just said we're taking the 5 out.
No. What I'm doing is I think you're trying to say it like, okay, who's manning up against whom?
No, but I'm saying
I'm just
that's-
looking at
that's
what
my
they bring to the table. And I'm sorry, Ty Jerome is just. I know it's 18 games, and I feel drunk saying that.
Yes.
Because it makes me. It's a stupid thing to say. But if you can extrapolate what Ty Jerome's done this year out for a season, then give me Ty Jerome. And I'm just saying, who on that team is going to outproduce that?
Can we
On
list?
the bench.
Can we? So let's list
I
these
don't know.
5. Let's list these 6 through 10 for this year. So you got Ty Jerome.
LeVert.
You got Karis LeVert.
Dean Wade.
Dean
when
Wade.
he's healthy.
Dean Wade when he's Isaac Okoro.
No, Okoro's a starter. I'm counting him. Let's
Well,
leave.
what about, then you got to throw Strus
Let's
in.
leave Strus out of it.
Okay,
for
then
now.
fine. Give me Strus off the bench.
But you have to.
All
All right, so put Strus in there. So
Strus-
that means
Strus-
Okoro and I guess Niang.
and Niang.
Yeah.
I
You
would.
still have Sam Merrill that you can count. That's 6 people right there.
Okay, and then for
the
that
Cavs,
team,
You
you
have
have Richard Jefferson,
you got Delly,
Shumpert, Delly, Mozgov,
Channing.
Channing Frye.
Richard Jefferson.
We said RJ.
You say RJ?
I would say, I mean, it's hard to compare because those guys played in the playoffs and these guys are playing regular season basketball. And my guess is that guys 6 through 11 now on the Cavs are playing more minutes than those guys played over a long stretch of time.
You're right about that, but which is also to the confidence point.
Did we count Mo Williams?
No, because he didn't play a ton.
Mo wasn't.
He didn't play until like the playoffs. Like didn't it get him at a midseason move or something like that?
Yeah.
I think you could argue, based on what we've seen so far this season, that the Cavs are better 6 through 11 by a little bit, maybe now.
I think they're better like 9 through 11 this year than they
6
were.
through 11?
I would take.
Certainly 9 through 11. Yeah.
I would probably still ride the championship team through 8 and then I would say maybe 9, 10, 11.
Part of that's because 1 through 5 is
Jay,
decent deal
I think
better.
I would too. I think I would. If
what's-
you're only going 8, but the reason I made the statement Friday was because this team has the luxury to go deeper than 8.
Yeah.
That's why I made the statement that I think this team has more depth than that team
What's
did.
funny about the conversation is that wasn't even the most talented Cavs team. The year after.
No,
Yeah,
I agree. No, I agree with that.
That was the
16,
best
17
team.
team
That was
was
the best
better
team.
than the
But
then the
15,
Warriors
16
were even
team.
better.
The Warriors had KD, so
yeah.
no one talks about that team anymore.
But the only reason I say it like that is because I've seen guys like Channing Frye beat the Raptors dang near by himself.
But then Channing was also unplayable in certain series.
Right.
where,
Right.
Like he couldn't get on the floor against the Warriors.
Yeah, no. Well,
So
the Warriors made a lot of people unplayable, even Kevin Love.
And we'll have to see with it. Well, yeah, they did.
He had one big stop. That's all I cared about.
That team was. It felt like that team was like matchup based, where Channing fit really well against Atlanta and Toronto. He cooked those guys.
Destroyed them.
Couldn't get on the floor against Golden State. We don't know yet with this team who's matchup based and who is a guy who can play. We just don't know. You got to get there.
It's too early.
Yeah.
It's too early. That's why I juxtapose. I prefaced my argument by saying before you juxtapose those two benches, consider the fact that it's a very, 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 very small sample size.
It is. It is.
I try to be provocative here and there, and
But-
to me, I said
There's
it because
definitely an argument on who's got the better bench, I think, between the two teams.
No.
I think we just got to see this team longer.
Now, if you ask me, I mean, could they, if they played in a series, would they win a game? Could they get a game?
Could this team get a game on that team?
Yeah.
In a series?
they'd get a game.
Yeah.
I think they'd get a game.
I don't think they're getting the series.
I don't
No.
think they're getting any either.
No.
I give them.
LeBron just skews everything.
Yes.
He does, but
Yes.
because of that.
But that's sort of my point is there's no big bad wolf this
Right.
year.
No,
Right.
and there's really not a LeBron James in the league right now. There's not.
No.
I mean, if you look at the reigning MVP, okay, he scares people, but he doesn't terrify people like LeBron did.
The best team in the NBA, till proven otherwise, is Boston, and their best player, as I think one of you guys said the other day, as good as he is, he's a tier 2
I think he's
all-star.
1A. He's not in the tier 1,
Right.
but he's not a tier 2.
So he's 1B.
He's
Yeah, I'll go with 1A.
Yeah.
1 being the top 5,
Right.
and
Yeah.
1A being 6 through 10.
But he's not the best player in the league.
No,
No, and
he's
LeBron.
not.
But they're,
clearly-
as a team, they're the best team.
Yeah.
But you could make an argument right now for the Cavs being the second best team.
Absolutely.
You know what I thought
In
of
the
this?
East, OKC's going to be a beast.
Yeah, I haven't seen them play.
I thought
haven't
of this
watched them.
watching the Cavs Celtics about the irony that we could be facing. Imagine if we get, and this is not outside of the realm of reasonability here, if we get a Cavs Warriors finals. That's doable, guys.
Sure, it's possible. Yeah,
Now that
funny.
would be
That'd be wild.
ratings gold.
That'd be wild.
That'd be kind of crazy. And then have LeBron James be in the stands watching because he's going to come to those
He
games.
would know.
No, he wouldn't.
Why
He'd
would
be
he
in
come to
Paris.
that?
No.
No.
He wouldn't pull up to that.
No.
He loves the spotlight, but he also hates the fact that he would.
Right.
It would drive home this. It would
Can you
drive
imagine
home
him
this.
sitting courtside eating popcorn, drinking that big
Cleveland
bottle of
rebuilt
wine?
without-
Hey, listen.
But you know what? What game did he
I
show
pull
up
up
to?
Boston.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Boston.
see?
Do you think down deep, if you gave LeBron truth serum, and I feel like nobody knows LeBron, but if anybody in the media, you're probably top few people that know him better than anybody else. Down deep truth serum. The Cavs are in the finals this year. Is he rooting for them to win?
No.
That's what I thought.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
He wants to be the one.
Yes.
Huh. That's
He wants to be
interesting.
the one.
Yeah, why-
That's too bad. That's small.
But
I mean,
no,
I thought he was bigger than that.
True serum is a funny thing.
It is.
I thought you were going to ask if he
Wanted to be back
resigned
in
and wanted to be
on the
back.
roster.
That's what
yeah.
I thought you were
Now,
going to ask.
I would guess yes, and then of course, can you imagine if he was able to bookend his career with another championship in Cleveland? That's one hell of a way to write a final chapter.
But he's not a free agent at the end of this year.
no, he's not.
He had
There is a scenario where he could get out, right?
Now he sold his.
Yeah.
He sold what he had to sell to make sure his kid got in. That was the ploy. He got it done.
I think he's at peace.
No,
He's
Was
at peace in
Bronny's
LA.
waived, right? Bronny's.
No.
No.
Oh, I thought I read that they waived him.
no.
Oh, okay.
No chance.
He won't play on the road in G League games.
Which is a bad job by LeBron.
it's a bad
That's
look.
terrible.
It must have been a guest
bad
piece
look.
then. I thought I read. I didn't read the piece, but I read a headline.
No.
They're never going to cut
I
him.
thought it said something like Lakers to cut ties with
Well, they
Bronny.
will one day.
Well, but not as long as LeBron's there.
Correct.
Yeah, that's.
All right, so we got Abdullah Mason in the building.
Yeah, let's do it.
As Anna's getting wired up. Hey, G, I got reinforcements back here. You better leave me alone right now.
What you mean, man?
I got the future chat back here.
Hey,
You
I
better
saw
leave me
this kid
alone
throw
right now.
hands on November 8th.
Hey, listen, I'm a civilian. If anybody touch me, I'm getting paid. I'm a civilian.
As we get Abdullah ready to go, I gotta let you know that this next segment of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is brought to you by Hillsdale. Time is our most precious commodity, so you don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. You can spend it wisely to improve yourself. Our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free online courses, including Constitution 101, the meaning and history of the Constitution. Go right now to hillsdale.edu locked on to enroll. There's no cost, and it's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/locked on to register. And with that,
You know we're old, Jay.
Bull, I'm old, and I'm gonna admit it. I've watched you fight. You are a grown-ass man in the ring. You walked in here, and I thought, man, he's got a younger brother that looks just like him. You look
20.
like a baby.
He's 20.
I know, but when I watch him fight, I obviously I think this kid is young, but when you see him in street clothes and no gloves and not destroying other grown men, it's stunning to me how young he presents.
Hey, listen. Hey, get a camera. I like this. Listen, shout out to the entourage came in here.
You're real when the entourage comes in here.
All dressed in all black, playing no games. I thought this was Rollo. I said, man, I'm going in here. They're not playing with nobody.
All black,
everything. Let's roll. I like it, man. Hey, welcome to the show, man.
Well, I have to start with your last fight.
yeah,
It was billed as, like, you've already had a coming out party. But this was like prospect of the year coming out party. And then you did what you did.
Yeah.
What does it feel like to be the best young fighter in the game?
I feel blessed, I'm grateful, but it feels like work. When you at that level, at this age, it's work. You can't get ahead of yourself. You gotta make sure you keep growing.
How old were you when you first knew you wanted to do this?
When I say I got actual serious about it, I would say I was about 12, 13. Once my brothers all, joined into it with me, I was like, yeah, I could really do this.
When did you know? Was there a moment early? I can't imagine 12 years old.
I can't.
But was there a moment early where you were like, not only am I into this, but I might be really good? Like,
Yeah,
you remember
yeah.
that moment?
I kind of do. It was a time where we kind of stepped up our training a little bit, and gradually I just seen myself getting better and better, and I vision myself like years down the line, like what would I look like, in 5-6 years from now. And I was around like 12, 13 at the time, and I'm seeing myself, my skill set being through the roof. When you're an athlete, you know that when you put in those hours and you constantly in the gym training, you're gonna get better. So me being younger, I knew that if I would have stuck to it for as long as I'm in it with my brothers alongside me, that I would be where I am.
What's the hierarchy here? Who's the youngest?
I'm the second youngest.
You're the second youngest. So you took some ass whoopings when you were little. Listen, I can say that. I was a younger brother, and I wrestled.
Yeah.
I had a younger brother, an older brother. And all those ass whoopings I took, I gave.
Yeah.
So talk about how really, you say 12 or 13, but you've been bred for this. This is your whole life, isn't it?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I wouldn't say I was the one, getting whooped, but my brothers.
Oh, there was a point where you were getting whooped.
Well, they taught me how to do the whooping. My brothers
You've
and
got
my
some
dad,
good older brothers.
Yeah, for sure. We're close. We've always been close. My father, he raised us, in the same house, and we always moved around together, traveled together. We know the same group of people, So we grew up close. No big commotion in our house.
Let me ask you this question. You 12, you got it, you 12 years old. Most people playing video games at 12 and 13 and 14. If you want to get somewhere, you got to be dedicated to it. Tell the people, like, when you training, what does your day look like from when you wake up to when you go to bed? Like, what is involved in that to get to the level you at right now?
One thing I can say about boxing, it's not always just the physical aspect. You know, boxing is 90% mental. So you mentally, you gotta be so focused. You know, you could be all the way in shape, and you know, one little hiccup in the game plan, and the whole thing is thrown off. So I'll say the mental part is mainly what we hone in on. But we always wake up, we hit the gym, you know, we make sure we reading, you know, our Islamic books and, you know, just different stuff. We meet different people taking calls. But every day we get in the gym, we make sure before we get in the gym, we know what we know the mindset.
What time that start?
It varies. You know, when you in training camp, you working out. Most of your day is making sure you getting in shape, you know, and you mentally, you know what you're doing when you step in front of that opponent that you got ahead of you.
16-0, 14 knockouts. When is the title fight coming?
Man, Top Rank, you know, they saying 2025 will be a big year, inshallah. So that was my last 8-rounder. So the next fight I should be having early next year. That'll be a 10-rounder. And
scheduled for 10 rounds.
Scheduled for 10 rounds.
Last one was supposed to be 8 rounds too.
That was.
He didn't make it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, not a lot of my fights this year has went past about 3-4 rounds.
How many fights would you like to have in 25?
25? I would say around 4 or 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, not the next one, 2 away, 3 away, or are you thinking more toward the end of 25 for a title fight? Possibly for sure. We inching closer and closer to those, you know, the rankings and stuff. But with 10 rounds, I'll be a contender, and I'll be able to compete for those titles to get me to the world title. So hopefully soon, you know, as soon as an opportunity presents itself, I'll be able to step in there and, you know, contend for a title, so we could get to that world title. But we want to make sure we have a main event here next year for sure.
Earl's got a question for you,
in Cleveland for sure.
Yeah, speaking of title fights, and Jay, you was on a panel when we had Showtime Sean Porter on.
Yeah.
Abdullah, we asked him about you, and he said that you have the potential to be twice as good as he ever was.
Which floored all of us, by the way.
Yeah. That's
not that you're not going to be great, but he said twice as good.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. You know, I just got to stay focused. That's one thing I do know. You know, hearing that everywhere is. The one thing I do have to remember to do is stay focused, because it's easy to see the good that you're doing, but you know, especially when that's you know what everything that they see, everything you're doing, everything you're putting out is great results every time you step in there. So I got to remind myself that it's more behind that. I got to get.
What
better.
are the pitfalls? What are the things that you know could derail you? Because they're out there.
Just being complacent. You know, just being complacent and switching things up. A lot of people, they get to a certain point and they start doing things differently. You know, instead of doing it better, doing more of the good that they do, they switch it up. They do differently. They bring different stuff in. They want to switch up the whole game plan. But really, you just got to hone in on what you know works. You know, so right now, me and my family, what we doing, it works. You know, and I've seen that through how far I've gotten now. So you know, the game plan.
Trust the process.
Yeah, trust the process.
How does being from Cleveland influence you? Or how important is it for you, I should say, to represent Cleveland when you're out there?
Oh man, that's super important. You know, Cleveland's home, and they've embraced us since we was younger. You know, me and my brothers, you know, we was on the street hustling incense, you know, selling incense. You know, my father had a shop, you know, selling fragrances. You know, he still sells them, but you know, people seen us grow up. You know, we was out there, and you know, I got a few comments on my post. Like, I remember seeing him on 116th selling hustling incense. You know, I bought some incense from him some years back, so I seen that comment. I'm like, yeah, I like that. You know, seeing that support, you know, it just lets me know to keep going. You know, for Cleveland, they seen us grow up, so they looking for us to go far. But we want to take it all the way.
Cleveland embraces its athletes, I think, especially the guys that are from here.
Oh yeah,
no,
as
sure.
much, if not more, than any city. In
Hell,
America.
even guys that aren't from here. Like, look, we got a love affair going with Jameis this year.
Sure, but
we had a love affair going with the Baltimore Raven last year.
But there's nothing like the guys that are from.
Oh, yeah, it's another level.
More to the people.
I mean, you see how they support the Browns. You know, you got the Browns.
Yeah,
you know,
and it hurt my heart.
Right.
It hurt me. And
Right.
He tries to quit them every Sunday.
Every Sunday I come on here and be like, I ain't doing it no more.
Who's next for you? Who do you want? Like, throw a name out there.
whoever they throw in front of me, you know.
Wow.
Whoever they throw in front of me, you know. We hitting those 10 rounds, and each step up, you got to make sure you show out. And when you show out, you know, that opportunity presents itself. So.
Oh well, you got top. You know, I got to get your top 5. Like, you know what I'm saying? Who like when you was growing up, who's your top 5? And then you know, Tank Davis is you know, one of them dudes. Like, is that something that's on your radar?
Anyone in my weight class, you know, that's a possible matchup, you know, that I'm looking forward to. So I'm at 135 right now, and the top of the division. That's the goal. So, you know, anybody that's holding the title, we looking to get there.
What are you projecting at? Like, I'm looking. Dad's thick. You got some thick brothers. Like, you're not staying at 135. You still have your. I mean, it doesn't look like it from those pictures, but you haven't got your man body yet.
Right.
When those shoulders pop and that chest grows, where are you going to end up?
I'm not sure yet. Right now, I'm still comfortable, you know, making 135. You know, it hasn't, you know, taken a toll on anything yet. So I'm just comfortable where I am because, you know, we're constantly, you know, we training, we working, we make sure we getting better as we go. So as soon as I feel like it's time to move up, I'm gonna be moving up. But right now, it's 135.
Your trunks are really cool. Tell us the backstory about those, if you can.
You know what's funny is those trunks, the whole design actually comes from my older brother, Amir.
Okay.
Yeah, he said, you know, Amir right there. He's professional too. But every time I get in there, I'm like, man, what should I do next? And but he has, I say, most of the input designer wise. You know, him and you know my father.
That's
You
cool.
know, but that whole design pretty much came from my brother Amir.
That's awesome.
What's the recovery like
Recovery?
post-fight? When you wake up the next day, do you feel like you were in a fight, you were in a car accident, or do you feel like you're good and you're ready to go again?
No, I feel good. I feel good. I did have one fight
Oh,
where
to be
I was
young
like,
again.
He's 20.
Yeah, I know, right? I wake up now and feel
Any
like
of
I'm
us
in a
get
car
hit like that one time, we're out for a week.
He's like, I don't get hit. What are you talking about?
We didn't look like that at 20.
But go ahead. I'm curious. How do you feel when you wake up?
No, I feel good. You know, sometimes my body's a little sore, like I just worked out. You know, but I did have one fight where I'm like, man, that was a little extensive. But that was an earlier fight on. But I would say as I got used to the pros, you know, we just trained for it a little bit better, you know, inside of the gym. So we don't really take, you know, any punishment to where I get out the ring. I'm like, man, that hurt. I don't want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm curious. What do you think of the Tyson-Jake Paul fight?
Oh man.
Let's not call it a fight. For starters.
I mean,
Is it frustrating?
It was a fundraiser for both of them.
I would say it was frustrating when it built up, but you don't really know exactly what goes on when you're in their position. You know, I would say when you're in Tyson's position and Jake Paul's position, you don't know exactly what goes on. You're not in their shoes, so you can't really judge everything based off of what you've seen on the outside.
Mike
So
Tyson, man.
let's do some word association. I'm gonna throw a boxer's name out. You tell me the first thing that come to mind. Money Mayweather.
Oh,
Smart.
All right. Roy Jones Jr.
Elusive.
All right. Sugar Shane.
Sharp.
Golden Boy.
I don't know.
He's so young, bro. He hasn't
Yeah.
even seen some of these dudes fight.
yeah.
Did you have a favorite boxer when you were a kid?
No, I didn't. We didn't really used to watch boxing.
That's crazy.
How did this become your life then?
So my dad, he always had my older brothers in the, you know, combat sports and mixed martial arts and things of that nature. But I would say they you know, they always came back, you know, and taught it to us, you know, when it came back to the house and stuff like that. So we did some traveling overseas, and we had came back. There was a gym around the corner from where we lived, and my father, you know, he was asking all of us who actually wanted to get into it, you know, and I was the first brother to actually show interest. So once we got into the gym, you know, they all just followed behind me, you know. So once they all got serious, I mean, he was like, yeah, this is what we doing.
Let's say you rise to the level where, and I think it's coming. I don't think Porter's off. You rise to the level where you start dictating terms.
Yeah.
How long before you demand a fight at Rocket Mortgage FieldHouse?
The demand is definitely growing for the people. I see that that's what they want. But I want to have my first main event here before I start doing anything. You know, I want to at least be able to have a fight here for all my, you know, the people to come see. So once we have that first fight, we'll know how many people is going to come out to support Abdullah Mason, and once, hopefully we sell that out, I'm going to say, yeah, let me get to the Rocket Mortgage. I want to fight there with all my brothers behind me.
Will you train differently going from 8 rounds to 10 rounds? Does that change your training at all?
Like I said, it's not for us. It's not really a physical aspect. It's mostly mental. So I'm ready for 10 rounds. I'm ready to step in there and go 10 rounds. I could bang out 10 rounds. In the next few weeks. But it's mostly mental. And I'm gonna be ready for sure.
They talked. I watched the Tyson thing like everybody else. I got fooled. Tyson, even though I think it's come out now that they had some sort of an agreement. They weren't trying to knock each other out. They were just trying to get paid. I saw that Tyson still looked afraid to me. And look, it's natural. Do you have any fear at all when you step into a ring? And does it go away after you get hit the first time? Or because I've had fighters tell me, hell yeah, you're afraid. You're against a trained killer. But it can't stop you. It has to motivate you. Do you have any fear when you're in the ring?
When I step into the ring, as soon as the bell rings, everything else kind of like goes away, So once from there, it's kind of like, in a sense, it's like an autopilot type thing. I know I got to listen to my corner. I know I got to do what I trained on, and I know the game plan. So I'm gonna just have fun while I'm, putting all that together. So I would say once that bell rings, all of it goes out the window.
So you let me get to, for a novice like myself.
Yeah.
So you saying like when you get in there and you throw in your hands, it's almost like you actually witness. You're not part of it. It's on autopilot. Like you know what you want to do, but it's like your hands are automatically doing what they do because you train so much.
I would say it's kind of like everything is kind of like on replay. We train in the gym for so long. You do 8 to 10 weeks in training camp. So when you step in the ring, everything you worked on, you just doing it on the opponent. So you mixing it up, but you got, different things that feels different, and you got to implement your own adjustments. But it's kind of, it gets fun when you're in there. It gets fun.
When you prepare for a fighter, do you, like what a football team will watch film on a specific opponent? How much of that do you do? And how much do you change your game plan based on the other fighter, if at all?
You definitely got to watch film, and we've been watching more film as we go, moving up the ranks. But you have to do it. It's something you have to do. You have to know your opponent. You have to know what he does, the good things, the bad things. But boxing, it's a whole different world when you step in there. It's like you stepping into something completely different from just daily life. The mindset is just you have to be honed in on it.
Earl, you got something?
Your last fight, I think a lot of people are used to seeing you just drop dudes quickly. And I think that was the first time that I can remember seeing you fight to where you actually got knocked down. Talk about that, just people seeing you get knocked down, people kind of going like, whoa. And then you kind of just persevere through it, and then you end the fight real quick. What was that like?
Man, it was once the first one happened, it was everything, like the whole fight sped up. Like everything that I worked on, it's like I just did it naturally, So that's how much you gotta, be into it, in the gym. You gotta think about these things. What will happen if this happened? What will happen if, this or that? You gotta work on different stuff when you're in the gym, so you could be prepared for those moments. So when I stepped in there and that first, that knockdown happened, that was the first time I've ever, that's ever happened in the
Any
gym.
level?
Any level.
Really?
Yeah.
You can't even plan for that, can you? Like you can't.
What about
plan.
sparring?
Yeah,
Have you been knocked off?
No, I haven't.
That was the first time
That was the
ever.
first time. That
Oh,
was the first
damn.
time. Yeah. So everything kind of sped up, as far as like, just the whole fight just happening so quickly. But wow, I would say it was something that was a good thing in the end. When the fight first ended, I thought of it as something that was like very unfortunate, but I see how good it was. It's something that'd take me to mentally. I know that it's something that I needed to make sure I stay focused. I know I'm already focused, but
it's a wake-up call.
It's a wake-up call.
You're number 3 on ESPN's top 25 under 25.
Yeah.
And I think you're the front runner is he the
Is that
front
all
runner
divisions combined?
Yes.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's the front runner for Prospect of the Year, correct? How important is that to you that you get that title? Because that comes with a lot of attention and a lot of future billing.
We've been putting in our work, and we want to see, we want to see it show, and we know that they've been watching us, so we just gonna continue to put in our work, regardless of what they say they see, but we want that.
Did you play other sports?
No, I didn't.
Man, you'd make a hell of a cornerback. Like with his length and your athleticism, holy cow.
Yeah.
What would your advice be to other young kids, 12-year-old, the 12-year-old watching right now, 13-year-old, that may be thinking, wow, this is never going to happen for me. I can't do it. What would your advice be to them?
I would say one thing I would say is probably just focus on the good and make sure that you look towards doing more of that, focus on, the good things, that you have, and focus on doing more of that, or implement more of that, or bringing more of that into your life.
You got all your brothers block box, right?
Yeah.
Let me know each one of them and what part of their game you like best, like, you know what I'm saying, from their boxing game.
So the youngest, Ibrahim,
How old?
he's 18.
Okay.
He's 18.
He's on deck.
Yeah.
What-
I would say his speed.
Okay.
I would say one thing that he has that I also have is speed, but whenever we're moving around with each other, I say, like, man, like, I think you might be faster than me whenever, like 2 years ago, like when I was 18, he might be a little quicker than I was,
Wow.
But I would say his speed for Ibrahim. For the one that's not here, the one that's right over me, Abdulrahman, he's man, it's funny.
You better
guys.
say
It's kinda
something. He's
hard.
going to be mad.
He's like, you took too long, dog. I'm serious.
About to step in the ring and show you
I
something.
thought we was better than that. You got to his quick. Like, I just.
I would say he doesn't really show anything. Like, he just steps in the ring and it's just he does what he's there for. He doesn't really show.
So he's about business.
Yeah, he's about business. I would
Okay.
say he's not like real excited or he's not upset. You hit him, he's got the same expression.
Your guys, I mean,
going.
first of all, great looking crew, Pops, but you guys don't smile. This is like the most serious
business.
group of folks I have ever seen in my life. You smile, but your brothers are back there like, no, none. Is it always that serious?
No, no, it's not. It's not.
Ibrahim's got some smiles to him. I can see that.
Hey,
Now
look.
wait, how old are you? 25. God,
Yeah.
you guys all look so young.
Black don't crack, Jay.
We're old,
No,
Jay.
I know it, but I mean, just
We're
look,
old.
these guys are just so
We just
young
on, man.
looking.
Stop.
You guys don't look like boxers. Like boxers get hit. Boxers, they don't look good after time in the sport.
Hey, man, hey, listen, hey, I like it. They all about business. They keep the close. They don't know us.
No.
They can keep that circle close. I like that. It's all business, man. But no, like I'll say this, man. It's just great to see, a father have his kids out and taking care of his family and be a so close circle. But I got two other brothers, and Jay and these guys know I bring my mom and dad everywhere with me. We be at events together. And that's the best thing in the world, because just a lot of times they don't get to see that level. There's a stigma around the black community that say, we don't got no leadership, but it's a beautiful thing to see your black man together as a family unit and doing it as a family and training as a family and doing things like that. So I commend y'all for how y'all hold it down.
Well done.
Thank
Very
you.
well done.
Thank you.
And good luck to you. We'll be rooting for you.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
we want ringside media passes when that first fight happens.
So we're gonna work on that.
I want to see that up close and personal. And also know this, like, we've adopted you now. You're ours, okay?
No, for sure.
So what excites me is 5 years from now, probably not even that long, But I love looking back at I watched one yesterday. It came across my timeline of an old Customato interview with Mike Tyson. And I all I could think of is when Mike Tyson was doing this interview, he was nobody, on no one's radar. Yeah. He had really just come into the gym for the first time. And Cuss was talking about this man like, yeah, he's going to change the world. No one knows it yet. Yeah. And it's cool to see those interviews 5 years later. So when you're champ of the world, this will pop up all over as people are searching to find out, well, who the hell is this kid? Yeah. And so you've had other coming out parties, and ESPN has done a nice job, I think, hitching their wagon to you. They know where the money's good. But we've adopted you, so you're part of our family now too. The whole Mason family. Yeah. So that means we will hype your fights. We expect pre-show interviews to help hype your fights.
Demanding, Jay.
We want Now this comes with there's some good things too.
You sound like the White Don King.
There's some good things too. Okay?
I got to have 35%.
We're going to give you free Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show gear. Ooh. And if you decide to cut one up and come into the ring with that, it's up to you. It's up to you. Well, I'm talking NIL deal here.
I think they're straight. We
got to get one more.
I love this kid.
We got to get one more read in. We're going to have the entire Mason family staff. We got Zach here. We're going to get some pictures in.
Oh, good.
We got some new swag upstairs, so we can go get some T-shirts for everybody in the family.
Outfit him up.
Yeah, we're going to go get everybody.
We have anything with tassels on it?
One last thing before I do this last read. We do these super chats, and then we just kick it for a minute. G, me and Abdullah, we got a growing relationship. Go get another pair of J's I can't get. Watch what's going on.
One thing I do want to say is I want everybody watching this interview, I want y'all to share this interview. Share it to everybody. When I have that main event here, we want everybody to show up and and support.
We gonna pack that thing out.
Yeah, we gonna pack that thing out.
Yep. Yeah. He's got the face for it. He's got the skill set. Show him young Cassius Clay videos. You know who Cassius Clay is?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay, good. Because a lot of people just know him as Muhammad Ali. What separated Muhammad Ali? Obviously, he had the greatest skill set of all time. In my view, I think he's the greatest ever. But what made him, at one time, the most recognizable human being on this planet was his marketability. He smiled a lot. He was funny. He was transparent. I'm not saying emulate that, but I know it's in your personality. I can see it.
Right.
What ESPN looks for, I know this, is guys, obviously, that can fight, but what the whole fight game looks for is guys that can fight, that they can market. And you got everything.
Yeah.
So pull that out. Pull that Cassius Clay side out of you because it's in there. I can see it.
Now,
and that's when the lid's going to go off.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No.
I think that's a great answer.
Because he said A. A implies one. Don't do that.
Yeah, you keep right there.
Don't get him in trouble.
We focus. We focus on the fight.
No girls. We're going to get these super chats in, and we're going to chop it up with the entire family. Yeah. Our super chats today is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 million active members. Prize Picks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out. If your lineup isn't perfect, you can double your money, even if one of your picks doesn't hit. I did it yesterday with Brian Robertson Jr. of the Commanders. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code LOCKEDONNFL and get $50 off instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONNFL on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, super chat so we can get up out of here real quick. Let's start from the top. Kenny says about 1/4 of the season data available on Jameis. Take his averages and multiply by 17 games. Here's what it looks like. Okay. Oh, he did some math. 5,301 yards, 30 touchdowns, 17 interceptions. Factor out Cincy drive and Washington completion equals 5,028 yards, 26 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Kenny also says Njoku, Moore, Judy, and Tillman more receiving yards in 3 games with Jameis than 7 with Watson. Mm-hmm. Aware Jameis Winston's played 4 but only took 3. Chris Fox says, what if DW4 had a crazy offseason and earns the job? Oh. Another Kenny says Chargers game bad because end up offense or the interceptions, ? First INT came with 6:44 to third, 17 points. Jameis Winston could have protected his box score, but he wanted the W, which required risk down 3 possessions. Keith Miller just sent a like for $1.99. Thanks, Kevin. Chris Fox says 3 good games in 5 years. Argument is terrible. J-Bo has multiple great games since 2021. He had a week 1 game with 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions a couple years ago.
I remember that one.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Charles
He
T.
said 5 good games in 5 years.
There we go.
Make it 5 and 3 years.
Yeah, right
How
there
about
you
that?
go.
Charles T says, I don't see a downside to signing Jameis early. He proved he is a good backup. He is a good teammate. He is playing well. And if you don't re-sign him, Watson is your scoring backup going forward for sure. G. Bush and Neck. This is this person's name. G. Bush and Neck says.
G. Bush
No,
is bad.
that's G. Bush's neck. That's a
parody.
real account.
Yes, G. Bush's bad neck. Go ahead. What's up?
Probably not a take you guys would agree with, but I would get Miles help in Princely Unamanum from Ole Miss or Abdul Carter from Penn. Aaron says resigns Jameis,
I like
revamp the O-line and free agency, draft the best player on the board in the draft. Then we pick up where we left off from the 2023 season. We thank everybody who joined in the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show today. It was a fun one. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
That's a lot of super chat money. We can just funnel that in our NIL deal.
Hey,
later.
Right over.
Yeah, we cleaned up. Peace.
Thanks for coming in, man.
Thank
I
you.
like.